Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another match of the Rugby Championship. This one, the rematch from last week, Australia versus Argentina. It went down to the absolute wire. The Australians managing to pull off the miracle victory, but now we've got another round of the Rugby Championship, and this round is heating up because it is even closer than the previous that we have seen. If Argentina get themselves a win, they will all of a sudden pop right up to the top, if not maybe second on the overall standings. That is dependent on what happens between New Zealand and South Africa just a little bit later on. There's going to be plenty of changes in terms of who is sitting where on this table, so we'll be keeping a close eye on it throughout the next few weeks. Looking through at the starting lineup. First of all, for the Australians, they have got the return of James Slipper as the number one. Billy Pollard, he keeps his spot at 2. And Taniela Tupou, he slots in at 3 now. He is an interesting one. Last week was far from his best performance. He was getting penalty after penalty up against him. He just made some really bad choices. So I hope that this week we are going to see something a little bit different from Taniela Tupou, a little bit more discipline, because we all know how dangerous Tongan Thor can be. Jeremy Williams partners with Tom Hooper in the locking duo, so no Nick Frost in the starting lineup here. Rob Bellatini keeps his spot at 6, with Fraser McWright and Harry Wilson slotting in as that number 8. They are a dangerous loose forward trio. McWright tied for leading tackles in the whole competition, so you'd expect a very busy day for that man. At number 7, Nick White keeps the spot at 9, with Tane Edmed slotting in at 10. So a bit of a change there in terms of Joe Schmidt's Wallabies side. That is due to the injury of Tom Liner. Hunter Paisami and Joseph Suaalii, who is currently tied for leading try scorer in the competition, got himself 2 last week up against the Pumas. Corey Toole out on the left wing. That man is already, I believe, tied for the most, or at least right up there, for clean breaks in the competition, and he's only played 1 game for the Australians, but he can be extremely dangerous. Max Jorgensen there as the number 14, and then Andrew Callaway slots in at 15, close out this Wallabies starting lineup. Looking through at the Argentines, they have made a couple changes here. One of the most surprising in that loose forward trio, but Mako Vivas, Julio Montoya as the number 2, and Joel Scalavi slots in as that number 3. Guido Petty moves to 4 with Rubiolo at 5, so no Franco Molina in the starting lineup here. Juan Matan Gonzalez, Marcos Crema, who's actually the other man leading tackles with Fraser McWright, and Joaquin Oviedo slotting in as that number 8, so no Pablo Matera in the starting side. Instead, he will be making his way off the bench, and I wonder if that is a direct impact of what we saw in the second half from Argentina last week. They were nowhere near as clinical as they were in the first 40, and they just seemed to slow down a lot, so maybe they want that experience of Crema at the end to be able to really help them over the line for this matchup. Gonzalo Garcia as that number 9, with Santiago Carreras at the 10. Santiago Chocabarez in the midfield alongside Lucio Cinti. And then Mateo Carreras, Rodrigo Isgro returns for Batista Del Gui, and Juan Cruz Malia at number 15. So that is the starting lineup, ladies and gentlemen. They are about to show what time the kickoff is actually going to be. They normally say it is a time in Australia, and then they change it. So I just want to see whether or not it's actually kicking off in 25 minutes, or whether it's actually going to be closer to that hour mark. It would not. There we go. It's actually going to be in 42 minutes that this game kicks off. So what does that mean? That means there'll be 4:15 kickoff for this game. I don't understand why Australia do that. They tell you one time, literally tell the whole world, this is the time that we're kicking off, and then they just don't kick off at that time. So we've actually got around 40 minutes, ladies and gentlemen, rather than just the 25 before this match does get underway. We have got there as 4 a.m. Hamish, my ex doesn't wake me at 4 a.m. I'm going to squeeze Australia by a sick last-minute score again, says Jimbo. Argentina win by 5, says Miss Sir. Morning, guys. How's it, Hamish, says Anthony. Welcome in. Hope you're doing extremely well. Watching an FBC game. When does this one kick off? It actually kicks off at 4:15. So I think I'm going to have to rearrange my later live stream for South Africa versus New Zealand by 15 minutes later, because Australia are doing Australia things. But we'll go like that. We'll go like that. And there we go. That is rearranged. We have got the women's playing tomorrow. And whereas Del Gui is missing from this game, I thought that he picked up some sort of little injury, which might be why he's not playing in this contest. Because honestly, he's been one of the standouts under that high ball for the Argentines. In fact, for anyone in the whole competition. But in terms of the women's playing game. If you're talking about New Zealand, South Africa, they are going to be playing at midnight New Zealand time. So that is 2 p.m. in South Africa in terms of that time. So hopefully we're going to be in for another banger of a game. Says Matthew, yeah, it was certainly edge of the seat stuff the last time that these two sides went head to head. We've got Hyle and Hamish, says Robert, welcome in. And also a great try for Lasanga for Bay of Plenty, says Jeremy. Bay of Plenty have gone all right throughout this NPC season. Like, they've had some really good highlight tries. Just whether or not they're going to be able to stay at the very top. Evening, Hamish and all. Going for Oz. I think the Pumas right run out of steam. Hopefully I'm completely wrong, says Thuds Race. We got Stuart has said, Hamish Phantom who never sleeps. I strategically slept just before this so that I can stay up completely throughout the night. They're just talking about Joe Schmidt, how it is his birthday, and a big present for him would be if Australia can get themselves another win here and move towards that first spot on the Rugby Championship. WDF, what is up with Oz broadcasters? I have absolutely no idea. But they do it every time. It's the same with Super Rugby. You know, they'll tell you a game's going to kick off at 9:45. In fact, they did it for the first British and Irish Lions game as well. They said this is the time that the games are starting, and then they delayed it by 15 minutes. So, I really don't know. It's either some really poor planning or some really bad advertising. And it could actually be both. We have got the Australia help by referee last weekend. Says Driss there. You see, I've seen a lot of talk about the ref from this game for the final moments of that game. I do think that Argentina, they'd be disappointed with where they ended up in that contest, no matter what the calls were in the later stages. Like, they just let their foot off the gas and allowed Australia straight back into the contest. And, you know, did they deserve to win that game, Argentina? I think they did. I think that they did enough throughout that first 40, but there also is no denying how strong Australia were later on in the game. And they just looked like the team that were going to win it. If that makes sense, they were just running the ball harder, and they'd seem to just have that little bit more motivation, whereas Argentina almost looked complacent in that second half. Capping Leroy Carter in my fantasy team. Surely he doesn't get subbed. Says Highlanders. It'll be interesting because, you know, he is one of the new players in that All Blacks backline, so perhaps if anyone was going to get taken off, it would be the guy who's on debut. But then at the same time, if this is his only chance in an All Blacks kit, you would think Scott Robertson would give him as much time as physically possible. Australia always do this. I'm disgusted. This is why I'll never pay to watch them live. Says Katzenell. Thought the ref was pissed off that Aussie didn't kick the 3. Looked real irritated to go beyond the 80. Says Suds Rays. Well, I think a lot of people were surprised with that decision from Harry Wilson. But at the same time, I feel like when you look through at this Australian side, it was quite a nice surprise to see that they were willing to really go for it in those final moments. Like, they could have easily ended up with a loss there had they dropped the ball or given away a penalty. So when you're a side like Australia and you know that you are considered not where you were, like, to be able to pull off a win like that. Oh, we just saw Nick Champion just Chris Pigney drop the ball in warm-ups. That's not ideal. Hopefully they won't see too much of that throughout the 80 minutes. But looking through at the benches for these two sides, he is not on the bench. Maybe that is why. Josh Nasser as the number 16. Angus Bell and Zainun Gore once again will be number 18. Here's a man that a lot of people have been wanting to see in a Wallabies kit. Lukan Salakai Lotto slotting in as that number 19. He was great up against the British and Irish Lions. And he just seems to have something about him in terms of that physicality, that aggression, and perhaps later on in a game that could be extremely handy for the Wallabies. Carlo Tazzano, once again, as the number 20, with Tate McDermott, James O'Connor, and Filippo Dungunu slotting in at number 23. So very handy in the back department. And James O'Connor, later on in the game, you'd like to think he would be able to nail those kicks. Of course, he had a bit of a rough one up against the South Africans not too long ago, but give him another chance here. I'm sure he'll do fine. Argentina, they have got Ignacio Ruiz, winger, as well as Correa Machete as that number 18. Franco Molina and Pablo Matera. That's some good impact to have off the bench later on. We have got Moyano, as well as Picaro, and Ignacio Mendy is out there as the number 23. But a lot of pace across these two sides. I don't expect a slow game of rugby that is going to be playing like this. I think we're going to see some really fast-paced running action type of play. Looking through at what Australia has done throughout this Rugby Championship, they started the comp brilliantly, getting themselves the win in in South Africa, 38 points to 22. Second game, they were defeated, 8 points difference between them. That's probably where Australia feel they've let that one slip a little bit, not because of the loss, but because of no bonus point in that game. They could be absolutely crucial as we head later on in the competition. And then that close game up against the Argentines last week, Australia got themselves the 4, Argentina got themselves the 1 in terms of points that we did see awarded, 28 points to 24. It's going to be that close again. I have a feeling these two sides stylistically match up very even. And also quite a few of the statistics throughout this Rugby Championship very close in that regard as well. As you can see, the Bledisloe Cup just around the corner. Australia taking on New Zealand. That is only in 15 days' time, now 14. And that is going to be an early start time for here in New Zealand as well. For the Argentines, 41 points to 24. In the first game, New Zealand were able to beat the Pumas, but then that next game, a massive one. The first time in history that Argentina have beaten New Zealand in Argentina. 29 points to 23. And then, of course, that close game. They still have 2 games up against the champion box. So it's not going to get any easier. Definitely because this game is at Twickenham rather than in Argentina. They have decided to give away that home field advantage. And I'm not sure of the reasoning behind it, but, you know, it's definitely going to be more challenging to win away from home up against the South African side than it would have been to be at home like they were for last year. Just showing some of the highlights from last year in terms of this Wallabies side and Hunter Paisami, what he's normally able to do. Of course, no Len Ikitau for this matchup, but Paisami's still a battering ram in that number 12 jersey. He's had 31 tests and 29 starts with just the 3 tries, but definitely has a chance of crossing the try line in this game too. We have got there, Harry Wilson must be captain of the year. He's been awesome. Says studs raised there. And maybe they use different time zones to plan. Australia is a big country. This is not an excuse because the Americans don't have this problem of delays. Yeah, I don't think it's anything to do with time zones. It's just the fact that I don't know if it's a stand sport thing or if it's just a Australian rugby thing, how it's trying to get people watching 15 minutes prior so that they can see the national anthems, I guess, and maybe so that they can watch a couple ads, get some revenue going for Australian rugby. But I don't understand it. It just makes no sense because the thing is, there will be some people, and I don't think there'd be too many, but there'll be some people who look for the game at the time that they said it's going to kick off, see that it's not on, and go, oh, well, I'll watch something else. But if it was starting at that time, they would watch the rugby. Guess I'm in time, says Dallin. You certainly are. Still another 30 minutes or so until the kickoff of this game. What time the All Blacks start? They are going to be starting at 7:05 p.m. New Zealand time for today. Good morning, Hamish, and all there, says Ocker. Welcome in. You are doing very well indeed. Kia ora, 27-27 draw is John's prediction. To be honest, it could be quite close. You know, it could be honestly separated by 5 or less. I think anything more than 7 separating these two sides will be because one side just has an absolute blowout. But I think it will be close and hopefully another very entertaining game. It's quite warm in Wellington today, but windy as always. A very nice breeze though. Says Tanner, yeah, it's supposed to be anywhere between about 10 and 40 kilometres of wind. And then alongside that, maybe some gusts of up to 60 k's, but hopefully they stay away or else make for a very tough day when it comes to the kicking. Golden point in the NPC. Says Studs Rays at midnight California Pacific time when Australia win. I'm going to listen. Don't Stop Believing by Journey. Says Tanner 2. Hello, says Bite. Welcome in. And also we have got the, what time is it now, says Bite. So the time that it is going to be kicking off is in 30 minutes time. Originally it was supposed to be a 4 p.m. New Zealand time kickoff, but they decided, nah, we're just going to delay it by 15 minutes. Unless, of course, there was the plan all along, but they just didn't tell anyone. We have got their Waikato woman wins 17 points to 10 against Manawatu. Says Nov Mum. Usually the women running late. Says Robert, although to be fair, they've had a pretty smooth run in Rugby Championship, Rugby World Cup, with how many kind of rainy days that they've had. A lot of the time the rain has decided to go away just before kickoff, and hopefully that's the case in the match between South Africa and New Zealand later on. We are going to be covering it on the channel alongside Curry Cup games straight after. Haven't scheduled those Curry Cup ones yet, but they will be getting scheduled after the Rugby Championship match. Thanks, says Bite, no worries at all. But yeah, looking through at the matches to come for these two sides. New Zealand versus Australia, that is happening in 2 weeks' time. So next week there is a bye week of the Rugby Championship, and then we are straight into the Bledisloe Cup. That is where New Zealand, it is a little bit make or break at the end of the day. That is at Eden Park, that first match. So if they can manage to get through that, then it will be the over 50 unbeaten. I believe it would move up to 52 in a row for the Kiwis. They have been unbeaten at Eden Park for South Africa. That is a must-win up against the Argentines. If they are able to beat New Zealand at Sky Stadium today, that then puts a lot of pressure on this New Zealand team if South Africa start to build back into the competition. It is honestly a four-horse race at the moment. The only side that theoretically would be out of the runnings, I believe, is if they lose this game, it's Argentina. And unfortunately for them, the chance of that happening are slightly high. Australia are favourites heading into this match, but there's no denying what the Pumas can do. We saw that throughout the first half of their last match. But this match for them is pretty much the Rugby Championship is on the line. I still believe for every other side, though, that there's still half a chance of being able to win it. Even if South Africa were to lose today, they got themselves 2 wins up against the Pumas. That would put them right back in the right direction. And then depending on what happens between New Zealand and Australia, if it's a drawn series, then, it's all to play for. In fact, if that was the case, I think Australia would almost edge their way just that little bit higher in the overall standings as well. I was going to say we got 24 messages, but I realised about 25 of them were spam, but we'll get rid of those ones. It's always the Rugby Championship ones. And we have got there, when is Otago playing, says Katzenell. I shall have a look for you. But there's a few games that have already taken place in the NPC. Southland, curious to know when they are playing. At the moment, Hawke's Bay just won in extra time, I believe, up against Bay of Plenty. Otago playing in 17 minutes' time up against Taranaki. And then tomorrow we get to see Southland in action up against Counties Manukau. And Southland actually have Sevu Reece for that game. Come on now, dog. Says Tanner too. And Hawke's Bay wins, says Mr. Sheep. And Hawke's Bay has the Bay this year, says Studs Race. And there as well, Australia have their own Super Rugby now. They do. But they are also still taking part in Super Rugby Pacific. It's just more so outside of that. They've got their own kind of miniature competition. But it is being shown on rugby.com.au's YouTube channel. I did see at one point for that last game, they had about maybe 350, 400 watching, which is a good start. It was nowhere advertised as much as it should have been. And I don't think they even mentioned that it was going to be free to air on YouTube. Extra time drop goal in the wind, very cool. Says Studs Race Go Argentina, says Johan Goosen. And also Panthers is like the NRL version of 2015 All Blacks. They just win it all the time. Says 10-2. Have they played up against the Warriors yet? No, in 2 hours' time. Panthers coming as favourite. The Wars are at home in that eliminator final. Be intriguing. We'll be able to keep an eye on that on the corner of my eye. Why would they have that on at the same time as the All Blacks are playing, though? Once again, someone didn't really work out the broadcasting side of things. Extra time drop goal. And Magpies win, says solid shorts and Kia ora, Hamish. Argentina by 5 is Matthew's prediction there. Yeah, I haven't seen many score predictions outside of that 7-point margin, which I think is great. I think if we get a close game like everyone is hoping for, then it is more than a bonus for this Rugby Championship, which has already been one of the more competitive we have seen. Can't think of the last time that in the first 4 rounds of the competition, every single side had 1 win. I thought Reece was injured, so he was just left out of the All Blacks. Yep, just left out. So, just playing for Southland. We'll see how he does. I'm sure they would have loved to have him last week for that Ramphilly Shield defence. I think NRL don't give about New Zealand viewers. I honestly think there'll be a few watching the Warriors rather than the All Blacks. But like you say, it's probably a smaller audience than what they get for some of the Australian ones as well. But there's a game on Sunday taking place between the Raiders and the Broncos at the same time as the Warriors-Panthers. Why not just rotate them? Have it round the other way. Argentina 10-35 to Australia. Says Highlanders fan. Oh, so you're going one-sided. 25 points in favour of Australia. Now, that would heavily help their Rugby Championship points differential. And we look here at the moment for the Australians. They are only 6 points behind in terms of that points differential behind the Kiwis. Both Argentina and South Africa both have minus 15. So, there's still a lot that can happen throughout the next kind of 3 or 4 weeks. Of course, there is even more rugby after that. We are going to get to see the November internationals coming up in the near future. The URC, it is coming back in 2 weeks. This weekend, we've got the Women's World Cup as well as next weekend semis and then the final. You've got the NPCs happening, the Curry Cups reaching its peak. So there's There's just a bunch of rugby. Pacific Nations Cup, I haven't even mentioned that yet. There are 3 games taking place this weekend. Samoa versus USA. Tonga taking on the Japanese. In fact, yeah, it is. And then Fiji versus Canada as the other matchup we are going to see. We have got New Zealand versus Ireland, 1v2 in the world. CS Highlanders fan, and where does Australia rank? You're talking world rankings or rugby championship standings? What we will do is we'll go to the World Rugby Rankings calculator. It's actually a really important time for both of these sides because there are going to be 6 groups in that Rugby World Cup in 2027. So the top 6 get automatic qualification into a best seeding pool. So, you know, at the moment, Australia, they are sitting here on 85.4, and that puts them in 6th. Argentina are in 7th, and they are currently on 82.84. Now, if you look at this game, and if Australia were able to get themselves the win, in fact, it's honestly still all on the line. I've just looked here. If Argentina win this game, they would go up to 6th in the world rankings. So they would actually make that leapfrog. Whereas Australia, they can't gain a huge amount from this game other than stopping Argentina from getting up behind them. We have got there, would you stream NRL final if the Wales make it? Depends if there's another overlap, I would say. But I also don't want to just jump on the bandwagon if they are doing well. Perhaps we could do like a stream with Tony, because I know that he's been supporting the Warriors all throughout the year. We don't need an easy pool. Give us a pool of death. Says Highlanders fan. And also we have got there, why do the women not get a break? They've been playing every week since the competition started. Says 9HD. Yeah, it's been a busy comp. I think... Is it the same as the men's, or did we have a 1-week break for the men's? Because they had a bye, didn't they, the men's game? Whereas for the women, because they're only pools of less teams, they've only got 4 per group, so it's theoretically 6 games in a row for whoever is in the final. And then from there, 5, 4, and 3 for their teams just in the pool stages. Caleb Tungitel as the pure speed and pace, as well as only being 22, whilst Leroy Carter is older. He offers a lot more versatility. Jay Fiaki brings less pace and a much better aerial ball ability. So here's Tanner 2, and good morning, Hamish. Currently 5:50 here in Stellenbosch. I was looking forward to both these games coming up. I'm hoping Argentina take this one, says Clinton. And yeah, I think a lot of people want to see that redemption for the Argentines. They were so close last week. Second half, they just could not get it right for that second 40 minutes. Looking through at some of the stats to do with that second half too. You know, possession was just so heavily in favour of the Aussies. And all it would take is a little adjustment here. And maybe it is the fact that Pablo Matera is making his way off the bench for this game. Maybe that is all that they need to be able to just turn this one around a little bit. We have got there, New Zealand have only lost 1 pool game in the Rugby World Cup, right? Are you talking about, like, in general, for the men's or the women's? Because I know that, of course, they were defeated by France in that last Rugby World Cup. Yeah, there we go. Possession last 10 minutes. I think no matter what everyone guessed in terms of that number out of 100%, everyone would be wrong. 98% of the possession throughout the last 10 minutes of the game. 2% for Argentina. Now, that sounds drastic, right? And then you realise that's 10 minutes of rugby. That's 600 seconds that Argentina got to touch the ball for, I don't even know the quick fire maths on that, but for about 10 or 20 seconds of that time was all Argentina had. So it's no wonder that Australia were able to get themselves that late comeback, because Argentina just didn't have the ball. So if they can turn that around with Matera, Franco Molina off the bench, maybe that is what could sway it in the right direction. I think the ball boys must have got the other 2%. Well, it's a crazy number, isn't it? I'm going to try and do some maths. I don't even know how to do it. Calculator. We'll go 600 minus 98% equals, yeah, they had 12 seconds of ball, Argentina, throughout the last 10 minutes. And that was probably just handing it back to Australia after the Aussies won a penalty. They'll look at that game and yes, they will feel hard done by. But at the same time, there's no way to win a game when you just don't have possession. You know, it's talked about in sevens all the time. Rodrigo Isgro, he knows that more than anyone. when it comes to that Los Pumas team, when they are on fire and they are keeping possession for a whole half up against the top sides in the world, there's no beating the Argentines. Whereas if the opposition have that ball for the whole half, it's very hard to find your rhythm, get back into a game. We have got the What's Up Guys podcast. That said, hey, welcome in. Hope you're doing extremely well. Currently 20 minutes away from the kickoff in this contest. They did say initially that it was going to be a 4 p.m. one, but they lied. So it's going to be 15 more minutes till we get to see these two sides in action. But then later on, we have also got New Zealand versus South Africa. We are going to be covering that one on the channel. Plus, we are covering New Zealand versus South Africa for the women's. I will be listening to you while driving home. Says Nov Mum, and hello from Montreal. Says Mike, welcome in. Hope you're doing extremely well. And afternoon Cobbers says the big V8 show, welcome in. They are just showing tries by quarter. Australia, they are sitting with 6 tries in the final quarter of the competition. They are sitting with 10 tries in the second half of the Rugby Championship matches. So they are certainly a second 40 team. And Argentina, you could argue that they are a first 40 team in terms of what they've been able to do throughout the comp. Stats per half, they are actually only the second team, though, when it comes to... that is actually just that second half in general for the 10. Who's the ref in the New Zealand versus South Africa game? It will be Nika Mushakeli, the Georgian, will be in charge of that one. We have got Ruben in the chat. This is where I really wish I knew Spanish. The only word of that I know, sadly, is the Pumas in that regard. But they'll be looking to get themselves a big win here, fire back in the Rugby Championship, and then have the last round absolutely all to play for. As, round 5 I think is unpredictable. And IB do better. Says Splash in there as well. I think he's not too bad, Nika Mushakeli. From what I've seen anyway, he's normally pretty good with his communication side of things. So I wouldn't expect anything too crazy from that game in terms of controversy. But I think that it's more so that the refs get a lot of the blame for things that the TMO do. It's very easy to just look at who had the whistle in the hand and say that's their fault. But sometimes it is the TMO. They're kind of the silent assassin when it comes to a rugby game. And they get a lot of big moments in a game that people don't realise they're the ones who are calling for it. First half, just about to get us underway for the day. A lot of rugby taking place. Do, of course, let me know your score predictions for both games. Ladies and gents, of course, this one between Argentina and Australia around the corner. But who do you guys think will be winning that New Zealand Springboks game? It is taking place in Wellington, and it is kicking off in only the 3 hours' time. That is one good thing about these games for Australia always being delayed, is the fact that we get to see those games, or we have less build-up. We're ready to go for those next contests. Or New Zealand and South Africa, we have got the Oz 31-20 is a score prediction from Thuds Rays there. Okay, so going a little bit more one-sided. Is that with or without a bonus point? Thuds Rays. All Blacks by 17, says Matthew. We have got there, now that the competition started, don't wash your Pumas jersey for good luck. Says the big V8 show. Okay, I haven't heard of that tradition before, or that kind of superstition, but if it works, it works. James Dolman should never referee again, says Kiwi Rob. What game did James Dolman do recently? Was it in the Pacific Nations Cup that he was in charge? We have got the Australia 32 points to 31. And Ozo 4 tries to Oz. Says Studs Race, wait, was he the one in charge of the NPC game just then, Kiwi Rob? Is that why you don't like him? And how about the first All Blacks versus South Africa game last week? That game, I'll be honest, it didn't go the way that I expected, but the scoreline wasn't a mile off what I thought it would be. I assumed that it would be within 7, just Group A of plenty, says Kiwi Rob. And how about the first, I read that one, didn't I? 4 tries to Oz, says Studs Race. But yeah, I think that this game, this weekend for the All Blacks and South Africa, this one could have a bit more of a margin between them. But then at the same time, it could go down to the wire. At the end of the day, 4 out of the last 5 between the two sides have been separated by less than 7 points. South Africa, 28, the All Blacks to 21. All Blacks backline far too small. There's Sonny Listen there. And we have got there, he missed a basic 4 pass and a knock-on by Hawke's Bay. Says Kiwi Rob, sounds like 2 jobs for the TMO to be able to step in. We have got, is Auckland or Wellington the capital? Says Katzenel. So Wellington is the capital, even though a lot of people think it's Auckland. So yeah, the Windy City is the capital. All Blacks 50-21. And Argentina is going to win and the Box will win, says Johannes. And people can't stop talking about Artie Savia's game-winning turnover. Says, what's up, guys? It seems to be that some people are happy with it, some people were unhappy with it. And the game is refereeable, or the game is unrefereeable. Refs are on hiding nothing. Absolutely. Like, there is not a single referee, I don't believe anyway, that, like, we have seen a game where no one has complained about a decision from a referee. And the thing is, a ref could get it absolutely perfect throughout a whole game of 80 minutes. But then people's interpretation of the law comes into it. So you honestly can't win as a ref. And you have to have some of the thickest skin in the whole world to be able to actually referee games, because it's just brutal. You know, even that game up against the Western Force and Waratahs last night, they had a bit of a mic on the field, so you could hear how the players were talking to the referee in terms of trying to persuade him, and it's not like it used to be, and maybe that is because now we get to hear it through the mics. But, you know, like, it's just the little things that you just can't win as a ref, because you constantly got players who aren't even in positions of power on a team telling you how to do your job. We have got there, the bots are relentless. They always seem to be for the Rugby Championship. It must be a bad payday for them at the moment, so they've got to try and find a way of scamming some people. We have got their guys, their lithium, says Francois. Their lithium. Is that like the brand, or like the one who sponsors the Rugby Championship? I know that Ginger Beer is also a main sponsor of the competition here in New Zealand. Argies by 4, All Blacks by 10, says Shane there. And also the TMO wasn't called in at all. Normally the TMO can get involved though. Like, they don't have to be called in. It's only normally for a try that they call them in. But other than that, like if there's a forward pass or there is anything like that, normally we would see them come in. Can you shout out Nick? So shout out to Nick. That is from Tom. And we have got Vamos Los Pumas, says Neil. And I'm so sick of players talking to the ref. Good evening. I should be an instant warning, says Studs Rose. We have got there, why is some spamming all those links? So it is pretty much just a bot that's trying to get you to go to their website so that they can hack your devices. So as long as you don't enter in what they've got on the screen, you're completely fine. We have got there, my friend Nick is your top follower. It's his birthday today. I mean the world if you shout him out. So shout out to Nick. It seems like everyone's named Nick. Or at least everyone has a friend named Nick on these live streams. We have got there, good morning from South Africa, says Netta, welcome in. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're excited for this game as well as that match around the corner between South Africa and also the New Zealanders. Why does Aussie Rugby always start late? I think that they just like to annoy people, but they always do. They say a kickoff time and then they go 15 minutes later. And they did it last week, except they delayed it by 20 minutes. And yeah, it is annoying in some regards because you just know they're going to do it too. But for the benefit of the doubt, you go, oh, well, we'll start early just in case. And then they delay it. But we're only 12 minutes away from the start of this game, so getting pretty close. Who do you think is going to win? I think it's going to be hard to beat Australia at home. But I also do think that Argentina have more than enough ability if they can just get themselves some sort of position throughout the second half. I think it could be absolutely massive for them. AB's got an awesome team this weekend. It's going to be a fast-paced game in the back line for the ABs this weekend. I wish referees would yellow card players who kick or throw the ball away when the ref penalises their team, like they do in Sevens, says Hopes of a Nation. Refs in my area, especially in soccer, get savaged and brutalised by players. Being a referee nowadays is not worth it, says Gatson. Now, yeah, it's changed a lot in terms of the last, I would say, about 10 years. We've seen, I wouldn't call it, well, in some cases it is a lack of respect for the referee, but we're just in the era of rugby at the moment how the players seem to think they know better than the referees who are in charge without realising how difficult it is to referee like a game of rugby. Like every breakdown, you could probably find a penalty in it if you really wanted to. And it's about trying to find that fine margin between letting the game flow and also penalising every little thing. Do you know much about Christoph Ridley? He is the English referee, isn't he? He's done a few internationals in the past. That's Argentina, that is. Says Neil there. And maybe if they stop knocking on the ball, says Neil, yeah, there were a lot of knock-ons for Argentina in that second half. We looked at a stat earlier on, 98% possession in the last 10 minutes. We did see Australia have the ball. Good morning, rugby fans, says Jimbo there. We have good there, my friend Nick plays for the Aussie netball team, says Tom in there as well. Internationally, I'd assume that would be. I know that they have a few games up against the Kiwis every once in a while, and like a Trans-Tasman thingamabob. We have got why hasn't it started? It is starting in 10 minutes. Australia like to lie. We have got their game is on now, says Clifford. Sadly, it is not. There's still another 10 minutes before the game kicks off because Australia delayed it by 15 minutes. Did you hear Amy is out of the World Cup? Is that Amy Rule? I hadn't heard it as of yet, although I haven't actually looked at the All Blacks lineup for their game, the Black Ferns lineup for their game up against South Africa just yet. We have just got used to Aussie crumbling for the last 20 years. That it's hard to back them with confidence like the Warriors, says Hopes of a Nation. And since the competition started, I've not washed my Pumas jersey for good luck. The translation of Ruben Spanish says Ockert there. And also we have got there 1840. I was the first New Zealand capital, moved to Auckland in 1841. Says Dallin there. So what year did it move to Wellington in that case? But it looks like a decent crowd for this game. It has taken place at Allianz Stadium in Sydney. If the Aussies game takes too long, would you stop streaming and go to the New Zealand game? It shouldn't overlap. In fact, if that game did overlap, we've still got another 2 hours, 55 minutes. So if it overlaps, then something's gone really, really wrong for this game. But we will be transferring over pretty much straight after this one into the preview or the build-up for that New Zealand versus South Africa one. Sky Sports telling me it's a 5:30 p.m. kickoff. Luckily, not quite that late, I don't think. We're sitting around about probably 8 minutes away. They're just doing the welcome to country, and then the two sides will make their way onto the field. While Aussie's up to delays for what? No reason whatsoever. There's a real reason, really. They just end up delaying it by the 15 minutes. They tell everyone a time so that I guess people tune in earlier so that they can watch the national anthems. But it just doesn't make any sense. Just tell people that it's starting at 4:15, and then your problem's sorted. We have got there, I need dinner. This is taken forever to start, says Katsanel. And we have got there just yesterday. It was announced that Amy Duplessis, not Amy Rule, will return to play as an impact player against South Africa, but after training yesterday, she didn't pass a physical assessment. I think this game will be a close one, a 7-5 pointer. I go with the Pumas on this one. Says Ocker, and that's Aussie for you, lol. Says Matthew, nice, there's actually Wallabies in the crowd instead of Argentinians. Yeah, that Argentinian crowd for the last game was absolutely incredible. The support that they had for their side, they would have been absolutely heartbroken in the final moments of that match. Good morning from South Africa, says Thiens. Is it Thiens, or have I said that completely wrong? I do apologise if I have mispronounced that one. We have got their small aftershocks in Wellington, where they're insane, says The Hobbit, and I really hope Argentina win. And it's not a finish like last week. That was heartbreaking. Yeah, I think the thing is, if Argentina are going to lose this game, they would love to lose it anyway but how it happened last week. You know, just defending constantly, giving away penalties, and just hoping that Australia would make a mistake. I think most teams would say they'd rather be down by 10 at that point and just accept the loss. Because, that takes a physical fatigue on these sides. Looking through at the starting lineup, a few little changes. Good luck to our neighbours. We have got there, they all blame the ref. Says Tanner, there was quite a bit of blame that went the way of... Who wasn't in charge of that one? It would have been Paul Williams. And boy, his social media was not pretty throughout this week. In fact, it was absolutely brutal. Argentina penalty on halfway, typical time, wasting DNA. Says Shane there. And from Kenya, let's go the Los Pumas. Says Derek, well, welcome in. Hope you're doing extremely well. Nice early morning start for you in Kenya. Of course, that's South Africa versus New Zealand game just around the corner too. And good morning from Gary. It's Gary from South Africa. Yeah, but Tanner, he was terrible. Says Neil. And Argentina 32 to Australia's 30. And then Springboks 42 to New Zealand's 12. Oh, so you're going South Africa to absolutely dominate the Kiwis in Wellington. The thing is, though, they have got such a strong, promising backline here for the South African team. Yes, some people might argue it's a bit young and inexperienced, and perhaps defensively it won't be as set as the older guys, but I think if they get flowing, if Sasha has a solid 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 game, it's going to be hard to stop the Argentines or the South Africans from scoring, the South Africans from scoring more than, I would say, 4 or 5 tries. I think they could really get there. Good morning, says Mike. Welcome in. Paul Williams is the GOAT. Says Tano too. Australia should take this one, says Gary. And James O'Connor not caring about the cameras. Says Studs Ray's there. Yeah, I saw he was one of the only Wallabies with his shirt off in the changing sheds, but just about to make his way out onto the field alongside his side, although he will not be starting in this game. Instead, will be making his way off of the bench But what we will do is we'll go like this and that. There we go. These are the starting lineups for this game, ladies and gentlemen. Massive return in the number 1 jersey. We see James Slipper back in for the Wallabies, Billy Pollard and Taniela Tupou. They'll be the others. And at the front row, Taniela Tupou, he honestly needs a big game here because there were a lot of mistakes from Tupou in terms of the breakdown as well as just handling in general. He probably had one of his worst games in a Wallabies kit ever, so he will want to bounce back. And in this matchup, we do see Jeremy Williams take on the number 4 jersey with Tom Hooper at 5. Lukan Salakai-Lotto will be making his way off the bench. He is a player that a lot of people have been waiting to see in that Wallabies kit. He was strong throughout the British and Irish Lions tour for anyone but the Wallabies, seeing as wasn't given the chance. Rob Valentini, Fraser McWright, and Harry Wilson make up the loose forward trio. McWright leading the way in terms of tackles made alongside Marcos Crema. Nick White and Tane Edmed, a new combination in that 9-10 channel for the Aussies. Hunter Paisami comes in at 12 due to the injury of Len Ikitau. Joseph Suali'i, type of leading try scorer in the comp with 2 being scored last week. Corey Toole, number 11. Max Jorgensen, number 14. And then Andrew Callaway as the number 15. For the Argentines, it is Mako Vivas, Julio Montoya, as well as Joe Scalavi as that front row. Guido Petty alongside Pedro Rubiolo as the locking duo. So Guido Petty moves into the starting side, and then that brings Franco Molina off of the bench. Juan Martin Gonzalez, Marcos Crema, and Joaquin Oviedo will be slotting in as that number 8 option. Garcia and Santiago Herreras will be the 9 and 10 combo. Santiago Shoja Barres and Cinti make up the midfield with Mateo Carreras, Rodrigo Isgro for his first game, I believe, since the first match of the Rugby Championship, and Juan Cruz Malia as that number 15. But those are the starting lineups for these two sides, ladies and gents. Liverpool, where'd that go? From TE, loves the Pumas. Says TE there. Ben O'Keefe, I agree, says Neil. And Bars aren't playing this rugby game, says Clifford. And we have also got the good morning from Paul in France. I hope that Argentina do it this week, and I hope that do not play with the ref as well. Let's see what happens. Regards, Sean. Yeah, I think that the discipline of Argentina is definitely going to be a factor in the later stages of this game, but also because of what we've seen from Australia. Their first game up against the South Africans, their first game up against Argentina, they love a comeback in a second half, and they have scored 10 tries throughout second halves of rugby so far in this competition. We have got there the GOAT of being terrible. Yeah, the language barrier, though, is a real issue for the Argentinians, right? Do you agree, Hamish? Just to get their point of view across to the ref, says Neil. I mean, you can blame the language barrier a little bit, but then at the same time, I do think, like, some of the stuff we saw this week on Paul Williams' Instagram was absolutely, like, just brutal and wrong. You know, like, I've got one here that I saw earlier on that I decided to screenshot. One of the comments on Paul Williams, the referee's Instagram. You have a family. If you want them safe, don't ever repeat another robbery. You were warned. Sounds like a threat to me, but I don't think that's lost in translation. I think that's just a very angry individual who was not happy with the result. But also Argentina, they have said themselves they weren't happy with how they finished that game. In fact, they weren't happy with their second half in general. We have got there, can you tell Wilson to get his catch in? Wait, his catch. What is his catch? I thought you were meaning like his cat, maybe. And just woken up, says Mashihu, and this game only sitting in about 2 minutes away from starting up. Ironically, they delayed it by 15 minutes to still be late by a couple minutes. Time management skills coming out of these games has been absolutely awful. We have got there, I love seeing a full stadium in Australia. The game is not dead. Says LB. Yeah, come on, the All Blacks defend Wellington like it's your second fortress. And also we have got the Argentina, AB's 34, Pumas 16. I assume that's supposed to, no, for the box game. I do see there as well. Yeah, that's true, never threaten referees, just game of rugby at the end of the game. And sir, regards from Henderson Heights from John, welcome in. If you are doing extremely well, we're close to the kickoff here. This game is going to be an exciting one. Got the Australian national anthem being sung by Andrew Cutcliffe, who I would assume is some sort of opera singer. Maybe at the Sydney Opera House. Of course, they are in Sydney for this round. Good morning from South Africa. I hope the Pumas win. Says Chanley there. And also, so why are we delayed? No reason whatsoever, other than they decided to start at 4:15 New Zealand time, and they'll be starting at about 4:17, if not 4:18. As the Australian national anthem is still being sung. But do let me know who you think the player will be that scores the first try, ladies and gentlemen. I think that Argentina have a decent chance of starting quick here. And I do think that they'll be more fired up from what happened last week. We have got, who is louder, the Oz fans or the Argentinian fans? I think I would say decibel per person, Argentina probably have the advantage. But there are more Australians in the stands, and perhaps that is also after the win that we saw last week and the fact that Australia are having quite the Rugby Championship run. Hope that New Zealand have a bad day because they play both the men and the women. South Africa play at 2 against the New Zealand women in the World Cup regard, Sean, and we are going to be covering that game on the channel as well, so be sure to check it out. We have got the TB should take overs and unders in the 4:19 p.m. kickoff. Says Studs Race. Yeah, I think they'll just get there. It looks like about 4:17 is the time we're going to get the players out there on the field. Oh. They've just got there looking to become the first Wallaby captain since Michael Hooper to win 4 straight in charge. He's only won 1 in charge, hasn't he? Unless, because he didn't play in the second test. So technically, you can kind of say that it worked. We have got also a big fan of your channel, some quality rugby coverage. Thank you very much, Neil. Greatly appreciate it. And we've got plenty more coming all throughout this weekend as Will Jordan playing. He will be playing on the right wing for the New Zealanders there. We're building a new team, but today we're going to beat the Kiwis with our youngsters, says Carey. And that's the thing. If this backline for South Africa works, I would be very nervous if I'm one of the older players. Someone like a Vili Leroux or a Makazole Mapimpi. If this young side works well, those guys are probably gone. So, the young guys are almost playing for their future careers, and the older players are watching their careers slip away from them if they do well. First try from Shoka Perez. He deserves one, doesn't he? Santiago Shoka Perez has been one of the most underrated 12s in this whole competition. The way that he crashes the ball up, he makes some huge tackles too. And, it would be great to see him score. If he and Paisami scored in those number 12 jerseys, I would be more than happy with it. But now the kickoff just taking place now, ladies and gentlemen. Only 17 minutes after the scheduled time, but we are underway and the ball is knocked on from the Australians. Not quite the start. It was a contestable kick. And how's the weather and conditions? It's looking like a really nice afternoon for a game of rugby. The sun is out. I'm not sure of the temperature, but it doesn't look like there's a huge amount of breeze either. Not a good start, says LB. Yeah, probably not what they were wanting there. The knock on at the start of the game, not ideal. But also at the same time, at least they got to it, Christoph Ridley definitely lifts, says Studs Rays there. And if he had taken, was he looking like scoring? Maybe not. I think he was going to be off balance anyway because he leapt in the air very high. So it was always going to be a tough landing for Corey Toole there. Also, who will the conditions suit better? Well, it depends a little bit. If it's hot, you'd say it suits Australia for later on in the game because last game, that was when they really started to thrive. But 1 minute in, we already get to see the scrum. Argentina have the feed. Ridley watching that breakdown closely. Garcia going away to the left-hand side. Santiago Carreras looping around with Santiago Shoka Perez. Now one. Cruz Malia, ball on the inside to Isgro. Moves up to the halfway line. Paisami wanted the turnover. Now advantage in favour of the Pumas. Jorgensen in off his feet in the breakdown. Garcia pops it up to Jojuan Oviedo. Oh, good start to this match for Argentina. Quick offside advantage against Tom Hooper. I don't think anyone's getting away with anything with Christoph Ridley out there on the field. Now ball on the outside to Mateo Carreras. Wrestled down by Rob Bellatini in an aggressive challenge. Now on the halfway line again, shoveling it across to the left-hand side. Juan Martin Gonzalez goes to Oviedo, has loose forward. Compatriot for this game, and they will go back for the penalty. Vamos, well, they're fast. Well, I would still say they had one of the best tries of the whole Rugby Championship, if not the best last week, with the Mateo Carreras try. Now the shocker form is no Eben in the South African team, says Ocker, although I was informed that him and Andre Pollard are both expecting babies very soon. So there was always going to be a bit of rotation, but maybe that was in the back of the mind of Rassi and his selection side of things. Was it another knock-on for Argentina? Well, says Neil. I get into the heads. Tom Hooper says 10-2, and Vamos, well, they're fast. And just tuned in. Oh no, I read that one, didn't I? Do you release the All Blacks into the NPC for next weekend, considering we have a week off after this week? I think it depends on who the players are. You don't want to risk your main guys. And, we saw it with Timothy Tavatavanawa, releasing to the NPC to then end up picking up a brutal injury that's now going to leave him out for 3 months. So that's really not what they will want. But now, getting ready to line up this kick at the post. Santiago Carreras currently sitting with the 81% of the kicks going over. And the verdict is straight down the middle. Argentina taking the early lead in this game. They're going for the post of the corner. You might have said, sorry, says Neil. So they did go for the post. Carreras got it over. And the Argentinian fans excited about that one as they have taken the early lead. We have got there, will the refs steal the game for the Aussies again? Says Max Bell. Well, I would say looking at how this game's been refereed already from Christoph Ridley, already 2 penalty advantages going against the Aussies, and that might be a knock-on advantage against Corey Toole as well. In fact, no, they've said that it's gone backwards, which means play on. James Slipper going to the short side. Going to pierce his way through Guido Petty, the man who makes the tackle. Now pick and go from Rob Valentini, moving up to 22 metres. Our Mako Vivas. A bit of a mismatch in the breakdown with Nick White. Harry Wilson thought about the offload, couldn't get it away. Now, across to the right-hand side for Jeremy Williams. They're in a good position on the field, though, now, the Wallabies. Valentini goes to Taniela Tupou. It looked like a little knock-on the ground from Nick White, and I wouldn't be surprised if that gets looked at. It's going to be ripped away backwards. Still play on. Harry Wilson goes to Corey Toole. Now, right again, Rob Valentini. Flat attack and run from him. Now, White goes across Taineme, going to Paisami. Joseph Suali'i, one more on the outside to Callaway. Ball on the inside, still breaking through. Suali'i gets over for try number 4 for the Wallabies. If it wasn't a knock-on, it will certainly be the try. What a try, says LB. I think you might have seen that one a bit before myself. We have got there clean or scrappy ball. The breakdown was a little bit scrappy, but as soon as they started getting some sort of opportunity and some sort of space, that is where Australia really start looking good. A man looked like, says Francois, and surely check, says Neil. Suali'i just using the strength to be able to bulldoze through 2 Argentinian players. Callaway with a great offload too. That will go as the assist to him. But we see there, Juan Cruz Malia and Marcos Crema both unable to stop Suali'i's power. Magic stuff. He's carried some tacklers over there. See studs raise. And so has a big strong lad. And Suali'i with a pure X factor. And Jacques Faury style try. Why can't our centres do that? Now charging. Or sorry, not charging, but now curling, I should say, towards the post. That is going to make the score 7 points to 3 in favour of Australia. Now we have got, as well, straight through the centre of the middle. Says Godfrey and 2 slow supporting Wilson. Yeah, he just wanted that offload, didn't he, Harry Wilson? So try is good, says Neil. Try is good. Nothing's been checked. So the try of Joseph Suali'i now puts him to number 1 try scorer in the whole rugby championship. Still plenty of time to be able to expand. Beautifully taken by Rodrigo Isgro. Almost a knock-on the ground from him. I think that the guys on the sideline are calling for the knock-on. But it's going to be play on here. Julio Montoya. No, they found the knock-on. Okay, so they are looking for them. Interesting. Kick went through. The kick certainly did. So sitting now 7 points to 3 between the two sides. That's an ODI score, says Badzan. I wish Wellington had a fast right track. Imagine the box backline on that, says LB. Yeah, although this young box backline, they're gonna have to learn how to play in unfavourable conditions, I would say. And that is possibly why Rassi selected them for Wellington. Yeah, we just see it there. Rodrigo Isgro losing control of the ball. Oh, we have got there. Yep, Blaze says Wild. I didn't say that Nick White knocked on. It looked like it from my angle. I haven't gone back to watch it again, but of course at some stage we probably will have to. We have got All Blacks 1 to 12. Not sure. I've seen a lot of people saying one team's either going to win by 15 or the other's going to win by 15. And that's going to be a free kick now, going the way of Australia at scrum time. Remind me again, how many phases can the referee go back to find infractions? They can go back as far as they want now. They did actually change that law that it's to the stage of a turnover of the ball. Oh, that's charged down. I'm not sure what's happened there, but Julian Montoya has just scored the try for Argentina. We looked away for half a second because it seemed like a stock standard kick downfield off a free kick, but Montoya charges it down. They'll check this one to make sure he was onside. But fourth try of the Rugby Championship career for Julian Montoya, first of this year. Australia, what's happened here? Yeah, just starts his kick there. Tane Edmed takes a little too long. And Julian Montoya, that is an underrated pickup right there. That is not easy to do when you've got pressure on your shoulder from another player and you are also trying to work out what way that ball is going to bounce. Montoya, the veteran, has done incredibly there. And that now makes the score 10 points to 7, back in favour of Los Pumas. We're going to see it here. The awkward bouncing ball. Nick White, shoulder to shoulder, and just picked up so cleanly by Montoya. We have got there 34k wins and Welly. Says Sonny, what's up with all the YouTube ads? Says, boy, I have no idea. I normally just let YouTube do anything ad-wise. Like, I don't actually touch it. So if it's more today than normal, I have no idea. That won't happen again, trust me, fellas. Well, it shouldn't. You shouldn't have a kick charge down off a free kick that the opposition are then able to score off. And Shocker, says Jimbo there. Now Argentina in possession inside of their 22, 9 minutes through this contest, and the score 10 points to 7, that looked like. They're going back now. Christoph Ridley for the initial Wallabies knock on. And brilliant Pumas. Says the Hobbit there. Have you seen that Repco ad with Marcus Ambrose and Greg Murphy? I don't think so. Until jumps as high as a locked shoulders. That's insane. He's got a leap on him, you know. They talk about it in the AFL, how tall some of those guys can leap vertically. But Corey Tall's got to be right up there. Like the way that he was, like you said, up at the height, like above a lock is just, it's just crazy. What just happened is Montoya charged down a free kick. He certainly did. What a game, says Derek there. Wait, they can go back as far as they want. So as far back as the turnover happens. So pretty much, let's say, for instance, a team has 15 phases. Every single phase the TMO can go back for. So he could go back to the second phase. But you've also got, if the ball's then turned over, that is a new stage that they aren't allowed to go further back for. Which is why there was so much controversy in that Australia Fiji game, I want to say that it was. In fact, there was also one with Moana Pacifica that involved it. Another knock on from Australia. A few early handling errors from the Wallabies. And now Santiago Carreras trying to break through the line. Gonzalo Garcia across to the right-hand side. This game's going to absolutely fly by if the two sides continue playing like this. Someone just passed the ball. They did pass the ball, yes. Now Gonzalo is going to pass it so that Carreras can kick it. Going to go high now, out wide. In the air, once again going for it was Tane Edmed, but unable to take it cleanly. That's a few times now in this game that they haven't quite been able to get it. We have got there, holy smokes, why didn't anyone tell me this was on? Says Distracted Sports. Hopefully your flight did go well, Tony. Oh, what a run from Juan Martin Gonzalez, moving into 22 of the Australians. They might be on the verge of scoring again here, the Pumas, but the ball has been dropped. They'll go back for the original advantage, though, in favour of the Argentines for a high shot. I don't see the Box winning today, and absolutely not with more than 3 to 5 points. Yeah, just, slap on the nose from Corey Tall on Lucio Cinti there. So it is going to be the high shot called. We have good okay. Argentina go for the corner. Says Neil there, he hit him in the face. He certainly did. And Pumas are on fire, says Jimbo. And the moon's still in the sky. Or is the moon still in the sky, says Jason. I think that you'll be able to look outside yourself, Jason, and work that one out. But now Christoph Ridley, ready to put this one towards the corner. To be fair, he was on his knees. I wouldn't have given that a penalty, says LB. Now going off to the right-hand side, Santiago Carreras kicks it towards that 22-metre line, sitting about 25-ish out from the line. Is Pablo on the bench today? Pablo Matera is playing number 20. So trying to add him as that little bit of the late impact player. But now, going off to the left-hand side. We have got there, are the fish still swimming in the sea? Did Jason consume all the weed brownies? I think the answer to both of those are yes. Now, little bit of a turnover attempt there on the breakdown from Jeremy Williams. Now, inside ball, that was forward. They'll go back for another advantage there. No clear release from Australia. They've been penalised about 5 times throughout the first 12 minutes of this contest. Looks like the Pumas more desperate. Says Sonny Samuel. Falling into the tackle seems rough to penalise. We have got there, how are you pronouncing Montoya as Montoga? Says Doon. I'm not sure if we were. Maybe not to that extent anyway. We have got there, no post, says Neil. And okay, quarter again, says Neil. And we have got there, Pumas going to find it tough without Pablo Matera. So I think Aussies by 7. Although Matera will be making his way off the bench. And we have got there 7-7, Otago and Taranaki. If there's a fight at the 33rd minute, you have to shave the mustache, Hamish. Now lining up this kick here for the Argentines. It's going to be Santiago Carrera straight out in front of the post. That has gone over again. And that makes the score now 6 points difference. We have got there, it's Montoya. Says the Big V8 show. And also dumbass number 10 for Australia. Get him off. Bring on O'Connor. Yeah, he hasn't done too much right yet, Tane Edmed, unfortunately. James O'Connor still that safe option to have off the bench later on. Now kicked off long. Nicely taken. And this one's going to be kicked into touch. It's a good kick too, but to be fair, just not a lot of angle to work with there for Herreras. We have got there, they lost last week, just kicking 3, says Neil. Well, I think they lost last week because of a poor second half. You know, Australia at the moment have scored 10 tries throughout a second half of rugby for this rugby championship in total. So, you know, I think that they just need to make sure that they preserve that gas tank a little bit better. And maybe by taking 3s, that is how they're going to do it. Nick White putting it up and under. They were only 30 metres out from the line there, but Joseph Suaalii managing to slap it back. But Carreras is ready for the next chance. We have got there, are they playing at Allianz? They certainly are. Abies will win. Warriors will bow out tonight, says Sonny. He is a ginger, enough of an explanation. Although, to be fair, Finlay Christie had a phenomenal game at Eden Park. So I don't think that justifies it. Crema went up for the high ball, an awkward landing for Mateo Carreras there too. But James Slipper now, the ball in hand. 25 out from the line for the Wallabies. Off to the left. Tane Edmed goes to Taniela Tupou. Chop down low. Carreras has hurt his arm. In fact, no, it's Santiago Shoka Perez who has stayed down. I would say he's taken a really ugly stinger right on that shoulder blade. And this could be bad for Santiago Carreras here. We have got there, I think, Tupou broke the RG, says LB. Yeah, I think the RG almost broke himself in that scenario. The Argentinian just not quite realising how big Taniela Tupou was going to be. But if you get it in the wrong place, like if you get hit anywhere here, like there's not a lot of give in terms of where your arm can actually go. We're seeing there the infringement in the breakdown from the Argentines. So they have the opportunity here to be able to take the 3 Australia if they do want it. What time is the All Blacks game, please, Hamish? The game is going to be kicking off at 7:05 p.m. New Zealand time. I should tackle legally, says Jimbo. That's a legal tackle. I've just watched the replay. He actually wrapped both of his arms. It's just a heavy contact for Santiago Shoka Perez. In fact, I don't think he could have wrapped his arms more than he did in that scenario, but it looks like they're going to put the ice on the shoulder, try and sort him out. We have got their box going home with a big fat donut, says Sonny, and they won't though. You can go for the corner and go always kick the 3. Shoulder to hip, no arm, says Jimbo. Oh, what tackle are you talking about? You're not talking about Shoka Perez's one, are you? I assume that has to be someone else's. Santiago Shoka Perez, the one who's injured from going round the thighs and ended up wrapping and getting hit. I'm not sure if you want more unsolicited Spanish lessons. We have got there Shoka Perez. I would pronounce Choc or Barres. So I'm saying shock rather than choc. We have got there Tongan Thor is being a big bully, says Matthew. And take the 3, says Mike. And they're going to have big balls to go for, or go at 130 kg man running full pace here. And morning, Hamish, thanks, mate, says Joe Schmidt. He is the birthday boy for this matchup. He will be hoping for A big performance from the Wallabies. I think his birthday just that little bit better. Maybe they got him a cake. We won't know till after the game. 5 years of secondary school Spanish is paying off, says the big V8 show. It would be great if Argentina wins the Rugby Championship. What would you do? Says Bike. Probably congratulate them, I would say. Who scored the try so far? So far, we've seen Joseph Suali'i score, and also Julian Montoya was the... Oh, sorry. What was the pronunciation that we saw earlier on that was supposed to be the correct one? So that we don't get more stick. Montoya was the other man who did score it. There you go. How is England playing against in the cricket? They're playing against South Africa at the moment, but Australia kicking for the corner. 10 metres out for the line with the line out. Fraser McRae breaking off the back. What a dangerous run from Hunter Paisami. Getting only 2 metres out for the line now. Valentini thought about reaching out, but will be just short. Taniela Tupou also short of the line. Ends up piling on top of Valentini, who has another crack. Tried to go over the top. Has he got it down? I think they want to check this one here. I'm pronouncing names very well, says Gustavo. White Line Fever says LB. Okay, they haven't got a grounding, but they are checking something here. Okay, no grounding, on-field decision, no try. They are going to be checking this one out. We have good day morning, Hamish. Thanks for the commentary. Says Yuri, no worries at all. Still another game just around the corner taking place between South Africa and New Zealand. Does Valentini? Nah, he's dropped that. I don't think he's got any sort of control. We have good there. Just sharing the knowledge. Didn't mean to give you stick about the pronunciation. No, it wasn't you who was giving me stick. It was the fella beforehand. You're all good. We have good there. Nope, says Studs Race. Argentina won't win today. They couldn't ever win, says Rich, but there is going to be no try, so Argentina keep their lead by the 6, and it will be the goal line dropout. When's the quarterfinal? If you're talking about the Women's World Cup, it is going to be taking place at midnight tonight for us here in New Zealand. And ball from Valentini, and he lost it, says Omar. Are you covering the Black Ferns versus South Africa? We certainly will be. We've covered every single game for both of those sides throughout the Women's World Cup, so we're not going to be stopping now. And sadly, it will be one of those two sides' last game. Oh, big knock on from Tane Edmed, and he's been cleaned up by his teammate as well. So it becomes the penalty, but Edmed's having a 1 out of 10 here for his Wallabies performance. Kicked out of the hand penalty try, says Studs Rays there. A great defence by Argentina, says Ali Wood. Now Santiago Herreras. Ready to kick that one into touch. And yeah, that's just unfortunate there. Huge knock on. Oh, in fact, no, maybe we were a bit rough on Edmed. I'm not sure what happened with that dive, though. He almost dove for a penalty against his own teammate in that scenario. But Nick White and Edmed are not on the same page at all in this scenario. Black Ferns, Monday morning, Amish, says Samuel. They are not. They are kicking off in about less than 8 hours' time, 7.5 hours. That's when we're going to get to see them in action. Monday morning, you'll get to see Scotland versus England and France versus Ireland. Now going off to the left-hand side, Chocobarez. Oh, I'm back across. Oh, a little bit of a switch there. Garcia going to Rodrigo. Is through, tackled by Fraser McWright. Oh, that's bad. That's going to be a penalty yellow card against Max Jorgensen. He didn't mean for it to happen. But it is going to be the yellow for Jorgensen. It's hit his hand. And it was extended away from his body. Najee Suali has already scored 54 fantasy points, being a co-captain. Nice work. And Jorgensen to the bin. I don't think your pronunciation is as bad as your French pronunciation. I don't think any pronunciation in the world is as bad as my French pronunciation. We have good there. Don't worry, Tane. We'll come back into this game, says Tanner too. And Tane is having a shocker. Says Alami there. And the Sever Reese move. Says Neil, but now 5 metres out for the line. Montoya throws it in nicely. Oh, a little bit of a set piece there. Going short side. Crema trying to spin back inwards, but he's tackled by Jeremy Williams. Just there, 3 metres separating the Argentines now from the try line. Taniela Tupou stuck under the breakdown Oh, ball rolls out, kicked away as well, but well handled by Mateo Carreras. Did he actually get a yellow card? He did. They gave it pretty much straight away. They didn't even try and check it or anything. Just straight away to the pocket. And Jorgensen off for 10 minutes. James O'Connor would steady the team. Says Rich there. Now across to the right-hand side. Big collision between, I believe it was Billy Pollard and Juan Matan Gonzalez. Now 10 metres out. Rubiolo. Now Garcia, a little bit of a counter-ruck coming there. Garcia now picks it up though. Gives it off to Michael Vivas. Australia under pressure with their defending 8 phases in a row. Santiago Herreras going for the cross kick. Bit too much on that one. And I don't know if they had the penalty advantage either. They may have just thrown away that ball, Argentina. He catches it. That flailing arm doesn't hit him. Says Jimbo. And James O'Connor would steady the team, says Rich. We have got there. I give South Africa 1 game against Argentina, says Robin. See, that's the thing. If Argentina were playing South Africa in Argentina, I would think the same. But because they've given away their home field advantage to play at Twickenham, I just don't know anymore. Billy Pollard throwing it in nicely, taken by Harry Wilson. There was a bit of hesitation there from the Australians in terms of whether to fire it back to Nick White, but now making a few extra metres for the skipper. Across to James Slipper. And Australia can't afford any yellow cards. New Zealand learnt this the hard way, says Katzenell. And yeah, it's actually Australia's first yellow card of the whole Rugby Championship, believe it or not. Now kick downfield. Doesn't find touch for Nick White, so it will be play on. Argentina looking to get their counter-attack going with Santiago Herrera straight up the middle, running at Rob Bellatini. Garcia finds Oviedo. Nice tackle made by Hunter Paisami. Now Vivas popping it up. It is the one linking up with 15. Herreras now out wide. I think that's actually Joel Scalevi finds himself playing as about an outside centre there. Is this ref also going to try his best to make Australia win like last week? Says Jackal Swiddle. Well, I would think so far, if you have watched this game for the first 21 minutes, you'd think it was the opposite. He has been absolutely brutal on the Australians throughout the 21 first minutes of the game. Now going back across to the right-hand side, it's Lucio Cinti. Taniela Tupou manages to get the penalty in the breakdown for no clear release. Argentina just taking a little bit too long to get into the breakdown. We have got their Pumas protecting their breakdown very well. Says Jimbo there. Whose home game is at Twickenham? Argentina. So they play South Africa in South Africa and then they play them in England for the next round. And out yellow card, says was Patariki there. Argentina with all the position, so much for Laumape returning. Is very average and a shadow of what he used to be, says Jason. And Tupou says 10-2 in Argentina with all the ball. Yeah, at the moment, Taniela Tupou, he's done very well there, and that is a very crucial steal in that breakdown because they are playing with 14 on the field. The Australians already receiving that yellow card with his hands on the ball or the body. As you see so many penalties given for the players grabbing the body, says Neil. Now, 18 minutes remaining. In this first half, nicely taken, Jeremy Williams. Terrible offload by Paisami. Says Alumi near. Big run from Rob Bellatini. Now, Fraser McRoy, Edmed, goes back now to Hunter Paisami. Okay, there's the offload. I was wondering when it was happening. But now Argentina get the ball back. Julio Montoya. Advantages now over. And just go to ground and build some phases. Says Alumi now Oviedo. Definitely when you've got 14 on the field. Although if that offload was a little bit higher and it sticks to Suali's hands, could have been a whole different story. Now backline here goes in to touch. Some real pace shown by Guido Petty, but just not quite the pass to go alongside it. We should get rid of refs. If everyone hates them, says Pepe. Yeah, I know a lot of people have been saying lately that they want AI referees, but I think that AI referees would actually kill rugby as we know it. It would just be every single breakdown you'd have a penalty and no game would actually get played. We have there Taranaki are now leading. Targo 12 points to 7. Pumas offloading is ridiculous, says Jimbo. Yeah, if that ball had gone a little bit further back from Guido Petty to Herreras, it could have been a whole different story there. Billy Pollard throwing the ball in. Nicely taken by Jeremy Williams. Uncontested by the Argentines there. Vivas tackling Valentini. Vamos Los Pumas says, just me. These two teams play at a good intensity and pace, says Eric. And also, we have got their LPM. I don't know what that means. Oh, another knock on from Australia. 4 minutes remaining. Kicked him behind from Garcia. This is going to be a nice territory gain here and an awkward one for Edmed. He's already under a lot of pressure. He decides to run it and gets out to the 22. But again, Australia going for that risky offload. And the penalty goes the way of Argentina. So Edmed, that was his best run of the day, to then blow it by trying to go for a risky offload that took too much time for Australia to regather, and then the penalty won by Mateo Carreras. Where was the support line? He tried to run it out from his own 22 though, and I think it just slightly set Australia up for a bit of a rough breakdown. Like two men, Williams and Slipper, were also the men who were expected to be in support. Good morning, Kiwi lad. I'm still angry at the ref, says Albert. Refs will penalise you for being 9, says Pepe there. And Oyema did well until he didn't, says Studs Race. Yeah, he's so close. Almost had his big moment. It looks like Carrera's just getting a little bit of medical attention on his shoulder here. Okay, corner now. You have the man advantage, time to make Australia pay. Although 3 more points here for Argentina do give them a lead of more than 7. So I think that might be the mindset here. Also gives the whole team a little bit of a rest so that you can go deeper into this game. But we are about to find out what that decision will be. Pumas need to be ahead by at least 20 points last 10 minutes, because the ref's going to award 15 penalties then, like last week, says Eric, although it is a different referee who is in charge of this one. Surely that crema tackle is illegal in every sport, says Jimbo there. And also every year, but they need more than 3. He goes a little bit high. Marcos Crema, I think Gary Wilson was asking for the penalty. He just ends up colliding a bit too high there, Crema. Not in cage fighting, says Eric. Although you could argue it is, because it's strike to the back of the head, isn't it? but no, it's more like a bulldog choke. Oh, okay, Nick White and Christoph Ridley having a little bit of a standoff there. Christoph Ridley saying live he thought that it was good enough for the turnover. Nick White saying no, they can't do that. And neither man breaking their gaze as they both step backwards. Not a penalty this week, says Studs Rays, but now Carreras gets it over. And that is going to make the score now 16 points to 7. Unconvincing half from Argentina. Australia finish hard, very hard, says Katzenel. Not you, Hammy. The immature player will get pinned by the AI ref, says Pepe there. And 16 to 7, and Argentina will win the World Cup final in 2027, says Albert. Sitting 16 points to 7. It's going to be kicked off by the Australians once again. Nick White, man, to get them back underway. I'm wondering how early we're going to start to see a few changes here for this Wallabies team, particularly in that back line. It's been far from Edmed's best. Question is, when does James O'Connor make that appearance? Line's been told to use it. That is Garcia. Does put the ball up high. Waiting for this one to come down. Joseph Suali'i. It almost looked like he got dragged down as he was trying to catch that one by Mateo Carreras. Garcia. Cross again to Michael Vivas. In fact, that time it is Joel Scalavi. It looks like, again, they are going to go for the aerial ball. AI refs will penalise everyone for handball. I'm not calling who will win the final in 2027, says Albert. Oh, does go backwards. Fraser McWright now going across to Suali'i. Another fend from him. Going on the outside, finds Hunter Paisami. Chipping behind, attempted. Mark is called by Australia, by Argentina. I don't think that's a terrible result there for the Aussies. Paisami was going to be relatively isolated out in that wide channel where we have seen Carreras already be dangerous in those breakdowns. But it was well covered at the back from Juan Cruz Malia, who was ready for it. Now Malia kicking downfield, looking for as much angle as he can. Doesn't find touch, so around the halfway line, the Australians looking to fire back. Nick White goes high. Tane Edmed chasing after it. Doesn't quite cover the ground. taken by Juan Cruz Malia. Santiago Herreras now sends it back towards Australia's 22. And Joseph is making this game easy. Found space pass to Joseph Easy, says Leighton. Yeah, he's already got himself the try. He will probably have another one if he continues playing the way that he is. That's a knock on from Australia, or no, in fact, they've said that it was ripped out of their hands by Argentina. Oh, it is going to be now play on. Around the halfway line, Tom Hooper changed the scores. Says Dinesh. It is an online scoreboard, so hopefully it will update itself in the near future. As the yellow card over, still another 3 seconds remaining of that yellow card. Now going back across, Rodrigo Isgro finds Juan Cruz Malia. He's got a bit of space, decides against going with the inside ball, and now goes to it for Mateo Carreras. He sits down Harry Wilson, gets round Hooper, bumps off Nick White, almost through the tackle was slipper. He was deciding to just keep on beating defenders time after time. Now Garcia, attack and run from Isgro. I don't know if that was an on-purpose pass, but it's worked out. A lot of space for the Pumas. Choco Barres has the pass on the inside, but can't quite link up. And now 5 metres out from the line. Argentina still on hot attack. Cinti dragged down just short. Now looking for the ball in the breakdown, Argentina. Didn't quite get it out as quickly as they would have liked. Back across Oviedo. He is very close. He's getting bent around in all sorts of weird angles. But just about dragged down short by Australia. Now another one. Popping it up. That looks close to the line for Pedro Rubiola. But the Los Pumas side going to wait just that little bit longer. Drop ball from Santiago Herreras. And that is a massive defensive effort there from the Wallabies, as they were right on the verge of conceding. As the score 16-10, it is indeed, yes. Scoreboard still doesn't like it. It's actually updating the time, but it's not updating the score. At this point in time, we have got there, that's a coach killer, says LB. Absolutely, that is one that you need to be able to get over the line and just short missing out. That was the game. Pumas messing up big time there, says Eric. And also we have got there Nick White. Should have been flattened, and McWright with the try saver. Says Studs Race. Yeah, see, it's an interesting one at the moment, because I would say now that is 2 try-scoring opportunities that Argentina have not taken. And they were both while Australia had 14 men on the field. So, could you now argue that if this game is close and it goes down to the wire, Argentina will look back at these 2 chances and go, they were the ones we should have scored? These 2 teams are so good to watch, wildly unpredictable, says Leighton. Yeah, there's just something about when they go head-to-head. It is always so entertaining. Yellow card over, says Quandilla. Yeah, back to 15 on the field. Max Jorgensen has returned. It's just been updated. Thank you, says Sean. And also, we have got, that's what I said at the start, with Argies knocking it on under pressure, says Neil. And we can't success like this. We are literally playing soccer, says Gatsanel. Now, will be a scrum. We haven't seen a huge amount. Clearly, the ref is biased because the Boomers didn't score points there. Says that's right. Both teams joking on the line, says Jimbo. Yeah, see, Australia, they had the one where Valentini wasn't able to score it. Maybe made the wrong choice in that scenario. Good morning, says Pat Hat. Welcome in. I just need over 50 and I'm good. Says Weird Balls. That's quite the name. Now Nick White puts the ball into the scrum. Harry Wilson looked for a second like he was going to try and carry it off the back, as Australia only 10 metres out from their line, but Paisami managing to break through. Still going Paisami. Looks for the offload this time. Finds the hands of Fraser McWright. It was a little bit low again there. Harry Wilson playing dodgeball with the Argentinian players. Ended up tripping 2 of them over accidentally. Now Edmed deciding that the kick is the option. He gets booed by the crowd, but he's got a 50-22, so now they're cheering him. That was a very quick hero or 0 to hero moment there for Tane Edmed, but there was a loud audible boo that we did hear from the crowd when he decided to kick away the ball on the Australian counter-attack. But then they all started cheering. I'm glad you laughed at that. And also true, not many scrums, free-flowing game in Edmed. Good first thing. Here's coming Australia, says Jimbo. And Red's fault that Aussie's not ahead here already. And also we've got our win for Argentina, and the Springboks will leave the championship wide open. Absolutely. And like even looking at the table now, this is where we sat heading into this round. a win for those two sides, we could see every single team on 10 points, theoretically. Now, of course, it would be tricky to do, and Argentina would need to score a few more tries from here, but anything's possible. That was a weird collision there on the field. I think, I have no idea what that was going to get called as, but it is for now just play on. There is a bit of booing going around the ground as well. Little chip in behind. Mateo Carreras chasing after it. Nick White manages to clean it up, gives it now back across, and some space for Corey Toole. I believe he's only had 1 or 2 carries throughout this game. He's been going up for those high ball challenges, but hasn't come down with too many. Now a little pop pass up from Harry Wilson. I just woken up in the UK. What's the story so far? So we did see Argentina start pretty quick. In fact, we saw both of these sides start quick. Australia have a yellow card. And Argentina taking their points when they're available. Australia going a little bit riskier. They wanted to go for 7. Suali'i almost chasing to get that chip. Now Carreras down the middle of the field. Lot of space in behind the Australian defensive line. And Corey Toole having a bit of fun waiting for that ball to bounce nicely. Now running it. Goes across to Callaway. Oh, that was ugly from the Wallabies. A lot of miscommunication and indecision coming from the back in terms of who was going to be kicking it. Callaway stopped so that he could almost kick that one from inside the 22, then realised that it had already been outside, so had to offload it back. Was the yellow card legit or BS? I would say it was a legit one. It was an extended arm stopping a attacking move, so it was a goal or a missed tackle there from Jorgensen too, which opens up the gap. We're going to have to come back to it because massive run from Rodrigo Isgro. Ball on the inside. Oviedo going for a chip in behind, and here you go. Mark called by James Slipper. So we've seen a forward kick and we've seen a forward mark. This game is certainly different, ladies and gentlemen. What question was I answering? I've almost half by forgotten. But yeah, it's just been very much so really fast-paced. Both sides having a couple good try-scoring opportunities that they haven't been able to get. Oh no, it was the yellow card, wasn't it? Yeah, I think the yellow card was a legitimate one. Yellow legit, says DG. And white kick. White attain kick, says Alumi. And also, it would be great if someone could develop a live rugby championship ladder that changes in real time during matches, says the Big VH. I know that they normally pop one up on the screen every once in a while. And to be fair, with a little bit of maths, I can probably tell you what it would be sitting at the moment. The way that this game sits currently, there is what are we sitting at? We're sitting at a 9 points difference. So Argentina would move up to third with 9 points on the standings. Australia would stay where they are, and Argentina's points differential would be minus 6. Australia's would still be +3. So all that would happen at the moment in terms of the standings is just, boop, Argentina there, South Africa there. And Argentina would have 9 points. That is how it would be sitting live. We have got 1 second. We'll go like that. We have got the intense, says Louise there. It's been an intense 33 minutes so far. Neither side willing to take that backward step. Oh, Taniela Tupou just biffing one of the players away. And there. We have got I need Argentina to win, says Tyrone. Good sevens game here, running from everywhere, says Eric. And Argentina guilty of forcing passes, says DG, now going back across to the right-hand side. Oh, it's an awkward, bouncy one. And it's going to go into touch. The foot of Rodrigo Isgro. We have got their Los Pumas doing a good job starting here, says Ruth. And Los Pumas having a very good game so far, says Rugby Hub. And calling now 6+ tries in the second half, no idea to who. Says Sudra's good job, Hamish, Argies and All Blacks. Today, bang, says Vader. And we have got there, what that multiple posting then just disappeared. What that multiple posting then just disappeared. I have no idea what that means, if I'm honest. We're talking like games or stats or something. We have the exciting rugby to watch these days, says Pat Hat. Yeah, it's been fast-paced so far. And these two sides just know how to play a really good game of rugby. You know, it's always eventful. It's always controversial when these two sides go head-to-head. Oh, was it the bot that you were talking about? Yeah, it's just a random link of like a bot that's trying to hack you. If you do type in their name on like a website. So just don't do it. That's the easiest way. And they won't be able to do anything. Quality players both sides. I don't trust men with thin mustaches. It's unfortunate. You must not trust me very much. I think there is a bot spamming in the chat, but likely gets deleted quickly, says Martin. Now being slapped back Argentina. Big collision there for Garcia. There's been thick and fast hits coming throughout this game too. Like, no one's going into challenges with less than 100%. However, there, morning, Sir Hamish. Says Darren, welcome in. Hope you're doing extremely well. Just 2 hours away from New Zealand versus South Africa kicking off. One Cruz Malia waiting in the pocket. Does kick this one downfield. This one will be a good aerial challenge. Isgro lands hard on his back. Wants the penalty. Asks the ref for one. And it doesn't seem like he's going to get it. The scenario does end up missing out. And yeah, it looks like Isgro took a bit of a knock on the back. And we have got, hi, Hamish, Craig from St. Francis Bay. South Africa is back. Says Craig, yeah, very exciting backline here. Heading into the contest. Oh. Okay, they're actually checking this one for a high shot by the sounds of it. So I believe the TMO is coming into the game. We have got Rufus said, morning, Hamish, from a dry, cool, sunny Cape Town. We got RG's coach very angry. Says the AI underdog pick. And good sevens game here, running from everywhere. Says Eric. And the RGs have all played football as kids and have good kick and chip skills. Right, we're going to see the collision here. Wilson. Ugh. Okay, he hits Garcia, who is ducking and bracing for impact. So I feel like that's one of those ones that it's an unfortunate collision, but I don't think it's going to be any more than a penalty because of the significant drop of Garcia. And I do think that the collision's actually almost with the shoulder first on the other side of Harry Wilson's body. We have got there. Check out the latest Rugby Young preview at halftime. I feel like if you just asked, we could have done, like, we could have, you know, had you on or anything like that, rather than just trying to promote it. Like, we could have promoted it on here. We have got there, Hamish, your mustache is fine, don't worry. Says Albert, and morning, Sir Hamish, says Darren. We have got there, Harry Yellow. And also we have got there, hello everybody, is that the correct score? 7 points to 16, it is. 36 minutes down at the moment, nothing wrong, two men competing. Yeah, so it sounds like this one is actually not even going to be a penalty either. It's just going to be play on. Come on, Argentina, you got the box next, says Johnny there. Now, the ref has been consistent, says Katzenel. And also, well done, ref. And come on, Argentina, says Luis. And also, we've got the great call from the ref, says Dune. It's very hard not to get penalised for aerials, and this is the first one. It was head contact and not even a penalty, so inconsistent, the refs. And Christoph Ridley, you legend. Says studs raised there, but now this one's going to be fed into the scrum by Nick White. And this one's just rolling back. Vamos Pumas, says Louise. Anta Paisami. Across to the left-hand side again. Harry Wilson, Edmund. There was a player there. I think it was Joel Scalevi. Was a long way offside, but I think he was still retreating after maybe taking a bit of a knock. Or perhaps just a bit slower getting up from the scrum. Bit of a slip there for Edmund. Will be no penalty called there. Taniela Tupou plays halfback. That's why he normally doesn't. Bit of a rough pass. Suali'i managing to pick it up. Thought about the offload to Santiago Shoka Perez. Gets himself isolated now. And the penalty goes the way of Argentina. This is another easy 3 if the Argentines want it. The Argentina win and South Africa to lose so we can drink beers. Oh, sorry, so we can drink Bock tears, says Samuel. Itchy crotch, says Tangata. Itchy crotch. Is that like you've seen a player itching, or is that just like your status update? Okay, there, Vamos Pumas, says Gustavo, and take the 3. Says just me. Need Argentina to win and South Africa to lose. And because Wilson went on low, nothing wrong no matter what you hit. Who's dominating the scrums and the lineouts? I'd say we've been pretty even in both aspects of this game. Corner police says Neil, they are once again kicking for the 3. And Timo Rose says bat hand, and geez, I wish the ones would stop about the ref. Says Studs Rays. Yeah, we mentioned about it before the match. No matter how good or bad of a game a referee has, you can get 100% of your calls right, people will still not like you. So it's a thankless job. It's one of those ones that you got to have pretty thick skin to be able to do. And now Carreras ready to kick this one. Currently the lead of 9. So this would become 12 here for Argentina. And man, it's so good being at the top of the rugby world. All these people hate us, Box, and we love it. Gives us so much joy. Says LB. Who was saying, I assume that was from the Bok Tiers one earlier on. I was confused at who mentioned the South Africans there, but that one has gone over 19 points to 7 now. This is starting to run away from Aussie a little bit here. NPC games have been quite close lately. And they obviously don't know South Africans well. We don't shed tears, unlike Lording Main still crying about the 1995 World Cup. Says it was there from Daryl. Watch the game in this too, says God's Own. Yeah, it's pretty awesome the amount of people who still watch us, even if it's just to have us on their phone on mute so that they can read the chat as well while the game is going on, kind of have a discussion about it. There's a knock-on from the Argentines. This is an intriguing one now because Australia have that last attacking chance. And Tupo just throwing and the ball into no man's land, says Jake. And Vamos Pumas says Luis. And their ref seems pretty fair. Australia just over eager. You see there the territory and possession, both in favour of the Argentines. 63% in territory, 58% in possession. Visits to opposition 22. We've seen 7 times that the Argentines have been inside of Australia's 22. But they have only exited with 1 try at this point in time. 2 penalties against Argentina compared to the 8 against Australia. So that's pretty one-sided. When you're on steroids, it's easier to win and be on the top, says Samuel. I think it would be harder because don't you end up with more injuries with steroids? So, surely that would actually make it worse for a player. But now, nicely taken. Argentina trying to bump off Nick White there. And Pablo says, Pablo Matera still to make his way off of the bench. Currently 1 second remaining in the first half. Argentina just using up some time. Kicked into touch. And that will be half time now, ladies and gentlemen. 19 points to 7. But it's once again going to be that scenario of Australia. They have got the ability to make a comeback if they need. We have got there, Alex has said, should close this down. Who wants to listen to rugby? We want to watch it, Wally. So watch it, Alex. Work out where to watch it and watch it. That's the best way of doing it. Fun fact, if you want to watch rugby, watch it. That's the quote of the day. Bad news about South Africa player, says Ruth. We have got their similar scoreline to last week, and guess who won it full time? Says Neil, exactly right. From what we saw last week, Australia are nowhere near out of this game. We have got their, there's good luck. And also, coffee break, good morning, South Africa. And are you wearing formal pants and shoes? Just a shirt and tie. I am just wearing, I've got I wouldn't say they're casual pants, but they're also they're not awful either. They're just pants. Just me, a gentleman never tells, says Jake. And we have got their, I take steroids every day and couldn't run a bath, says Jimbo. And also we have got their Go Argie, says Mark. Don't see Australia winning, says Senzo. I'll be curious to know what the odds are sitting at the moment. What's the path of Argentina to championship victory? They will need a few more big wins. That is for sure. Because currently, the way that they sit, they are at the bottom of the table. But if they were to win this game by the margin that they are at the moment, they would move up into 3rd. Now, if they can get themselves a bonus point for 3 or more tries than their opposition, they will move up to 2nd. In fact, depending on that points differential, they could even move up to 1st at the end of this round. So, for Argentina to be able to win this rugby championship, this game is 100% needed. Because if they lose this, I believe they are the only side at this stage that can't win the rugby championship from here. That is, if they have the loss. We have got there. Can we get Kiwi lads ties, please? I wouldn't know what colour to make them. Also, I don't know what to do with the design. Would I put a whole heap of little mini logos on it and maybe a black tie with little mini TKLs? Potentially. Could be an option. We have got their first 10 after the break will be big. If Argentina scores again, then they have a chance to win, says Eric. Yeah, their second half last week was a little bit lackluster. And I do think that is definitely important for Argentina to come out with a bit more fire, which is why they've got Pablo Matera off of the bench just to add a bit more stability later in the game. Same with Franco Molina. How can Australia win this? Surely Pumas not. GG or going to let this lead slip again. You wouldn't think they could because you think that they would have learnt from last week. But it's just very hard to say. there is a chance that we could see Argentina just do the same things as they did last game and just slowly wear out of it. He's not wearing Adidas track pants. We have standards, says Jake. Pumas will win this game, says Piet. In there too. So currently looking at rugby, we'll go like that. And we'll go like that. Argentina at the moment are $1.27 favourites compared to Australia's $3.50. So they are considered underdogs, the Aussies, but they were as well last week. We have got there saying the ref is fair. Doesn't mean he did not make mistakes. Should just be evenly split. Says Albert. And also, good morning, everyone. Nice to see you. Nice to see Argentina leading, says Annie. That's okay. You say we take roids. Well, your players beat women and you love them, says LB there. And also we have got their what odds box finish last. I don't think South Africa will finish last because of the games up against Argentina. I just think with Argentina giving away their home field advantage to South Africa to play it in England, that cannot be good for Argentina. I'd love to be proven wrong and maybe they win that game in England, but I just feel like that's going to be the chance for South Africa to boost themselves up, and then that's probably where they're going to finish third, second, or maybe even first, depending on how it's going to be sitting. We have there as a halftime now. It certainly is currently sitting 19 points to 7, with probably about 10 minutes still remaining of the halftime break, and then we are straight back into the actions. We have got there, I told an American, I'm taking the piss. She yelled, go outside right this second, says Jake. And hello, Agent Carter, says Pepe. And also we have got there, Argentina should win on paper. Everything points to Argentina winning here. Australia's discipline has been poor. And they've made a lot of mistakes too. But then Argentina have had 2 brilliant try-scoring opportunities that they haven't been able to make the most of. And that's what makes me slightly concerned about them for the second half period. Looking through at their benches for the 2 teams. Josh Nasser, Angus Bell, and Zainun Gore there as the number 18. Lukan Salakai-Alotto, I think he's going to be a bit of a handy player to have later on in this game. Carlo Tazano at 20. Then Tate McDermott is there. James O'Connor and also Filippo Ndungunu as that number 23. I think that Tane Med slowly getting back into this game. He did struggle for a start, but he is, I think, a lot closer now to where he will want to be, and probably a lot closer to what Joe Schmidt wanted to see from him earlier on in the match too for the Argentines. Got Pablo Matera. I think that man is going to be a game changer, as well as Inacio Mendy. Bit of an underrated player for what he is able to do later on in the contest. And Franco Molina. Really strong throughout this year. It's just that question of when do Argentina decide to make those switches? Because they don't want to leave it too late when Australia start to get that comeback going. 10 tries from their 3 second half games that they have played so far. But you also don't want to go too early. So I would say around that 50-55 minute mark is about where we want to see those changes being made. These are the future games as well, ladies and gents, in terms of what is coming up in the near future for these sides. Next week in the Rugby Championship, it is a bye week. And then after that, we are into the Bledisloe Cup as well as South Africa versus Argentina. Pumas pace might be too hot for aging box, says Jimbo there. We have got there, I might have to open a beer. This game's been really good, says LB. Tell you what, the chat is going very quick. Joe Schmidt is an incredible coach. He is also the birthday boy in this scenario. And Pumas play against the box in South Africa. And in London, advantage box, says Eric. And our Aussie will come through. Get in there, you mongrels, says Sonny. And same with Tony Brown, says Pat Hat. And also, who's the handicap? It's pretty much just a bot. So I don't even think it's a real person. It's just pretty much a bot that when they see a few people on a live stream, they just have it so that it automatically changes to a new YouTube account and they spam their link. I think they'd just be better off getting a job. It would probably actually be a lot more efficient than trying to scam people all day. And Kremer is the best player in the world at the moment. So here's LB and Tom Wright, big loss, and the Wallabies have first 5 issues. Well, I think the Wallabies are creating first 5 issues for themselves because they honestly have an easy choice, which is James O'Connor, but they also don't want to rely on O'Connor for the future. So because of that, it's kind of one of those scenarios how they have a player who would be world-class in that 10 jersey and could do the job, but they don't want to go to him. And I think that's just down to Joe Schmidt trying to get that young depth out of the Australians. Springbok fans learned in a hard way. The team is in the rebuilding process. Rassi lied to us, promising us wins, Says Albert, yeah, it was the start of the year. It was said every single win was going to go South Africa's way. But now it's kind of the more developmental stage of giving new players opportunities and seeing whether or not that is a future combo that they can use. Has there been any midfield line-out lifts? Not in this game. We did see one last week, though, in the Rugby Championship, so perhaps we could see one again in Wellington. It's going to be breezy, so, it might be more efficient than trying to do it under a high ball. We have got there, how's your crocodile doing, Pepe? Says Roof, and Aussies score quick in the second half and panics over. Says Jimbo. If you can chat, says Nick. It probably makes these a little bit easier, but we are also currently at the halftime break, so we're just waiting for the second half to start up. We have got Leroy Carter is going to be a beast. I think that Leroy Carter could be a hidden gem here for New Zealand. If they use him well, we could actually see him and Clark as that left wing option. Perhaps on the other side of things, we'll see maybe Ioane still get the chance up against the Aussies, but I think that if Leroy Carter has a good game, it would be a shame to see him drop from the side, but then also he was only injury cover for Caleb Clark, which means that he would be potentially leaving in the near future. Currently, the way that the territory stat sits, it is 61% for the Argentines. They've had 58% of the possession as well. They have had 100 or so extra carry meters. They've had 15 extra carries. They've conceded 6 less penalties, but there's still another half of rugby to go. So if this was the end of the game, I think they'd be pretty happy. Leroy Carter is 83 kgs dripping wet. Yeah, but he plays like a man who's 100. What chain broadcast, please? Or what channel? It would be Stan Sport if you are in Australia, Sky Sport if you're in New Zealand. I think it's on DSTV as well for this matchup. So those are probably your 3 big options. But the Rugby Championship website actually has a section where you can find out where to watch. If by some miracle South Africa gets going, the world will see how good and big Hooker on the wing is. Says Albert, All Blacks over the South Africans from an Aussie. Says Nick, so you're going with the scoreline in favour of the ABs here in Wellington. I see that it's supposed to be pretty breezy. And I don't know if that actually benefits any side, because it's supposed to be gusts of up to 60 Ks at the game. So we might see some really wonky kicking, which could lead to some very entertaining running rugby, as it might be the better option out of the two. What was the reason for the game in England? I don't actually know. I've been looking into it a little bit, and I still haven't really been able to find it. I'm sure it was something to do with either the fact that a lot of the Argentines are going to be playing in France in the near future, or it might be something to do with just it's a bit of a money side of things. Might get paid better for playing at Twickenham than they do in Argentina. Sad reality of big stadiums and countries that, are willing to throw a bit more money around. Leroy Carter got super fit due to having to run around the shower to get wet. That could be said in a very different way, I think, Jason. And Leroy runs like a crackhead after 30 Red Bulls. Well, it doesn't even have to be a crackhead. It's just after 30 Red Bulls. He's got all the energy in the world. And I hope he does well. Although I do also think that South Africa, the fact that it's Chisel and Colby in front of him, that's going to be a tough job for him off the start. Strong wins. And isn't the baked beans for supper, says Ruth. Yeah, they beat New Zealand and they're going to win this game versus Australia, Connor, says Brett. What channel, guys, broadcast it? Once again, Stan Sport, Sky Sport, DSTV, or on the Rugby Championship website. You can see your options. Winning in the Cake Tin, says Pat Hat. Romain Intimac is going through rehab, watch out, says Ski. And Carter will be targeted and run through, says Sonny. I don't know about run through, though. Maybe run around. I think that they'll probably try and get a couple 2-on-1 situations going. But I don't think I'd guarantee anyone's going to be running over him, because he is more likely to try and force someone back. We have got there, Leroy will run over a few box tonight, says Mudcake. And Wellington, windiest city in the world. Or is it Chicago? Cape Town not far behind, says Bruce. There's certainly a bit of wind in Wellington. Although one thing that Wellingtonians don't like is when you mention the wind. But it is going to be windy. So, bit of wind to deal with later on. I'm just going to have a quick look at that weather report while we're still at the halftime break. I'd say we're only a couple minutes later before we get back underway. I want to watching this game. So your best option is DSTV, Stan Sport, Sky Sport, but also check out the Rugby Championship website for your best broadcasting options depending on your geographical location. There you go. I should have a button that I can just press and it says that every time. That would be ideal. Rugby before professionalism was epic, says Pat Hat. We have got great call, Hamish, you're a legend, mate. Thanks, says Leighton. Are you wearing pants? Stand up, says Nick. I will not stand up. Not because I don't have pants on, because I do, but more so because if I stand up, it's literally right at my crotch, the camera. Like, the height would not be ideal. So that's why I will not be standing. Carter, Geordie, D-Mac, Jordan, extremely soft backline. South Africa won't tremble against these little guys, or while these little guys do the haka, says Sonny there. It'll be intriguing because, you know, this backline for New Zealand, a lot of people have said it's their favourite of the whole year. So we'll have to wait to see whether or not it's going to be effective or whether people will be complaining about it at the end. How good? This is like the horse before the main course. And don't forget Hamish at South Africa. They gave up their home advantage as it's 2 games played in the same country. Says Ali Wood. Don't forget Hamish at South Africa that gave up their home advantage. In the Rugby Championship last year, it was 2 games in South Africa, though. And then the year prior to that, I believe it was going to be 1-1. But ended up playing on the neutral ground at Twickenham. So I don't think it's so much as, like, it's just the way that the Rugby Championship works. You get 2 home games, you get 2 away games, and then the other side you do 1-1, similar to what we see for New Zealand here, how they're going 1-1 with the Australians this year. But next Rugby Championship, more than likely, it will be back to 2 in South Africa, or maybe 1-1, depending on how it is looking. We have got there, the back line is too small, says God's Own. And I was to come on the Pumas. Let's make a try, and I'm going to sleep, says Omar. So I've just seen here that windy conditions are expected for Wellington. No surprises there. Gusts of up to 64 Ks and making the temperature feel like 5 degrees Celsius. There's going to be some drop balls, I would think. We have got, who's excited to see Big Dutch, Fabian Holland, doing the haka, says Toa there. And now some changes look like they have been made for the Australians. Tate McDermott, he has made his way onto the park. That is for Nick White. Now, he did have a bit of an injury at the end of the first half, Nick White, so that makes perfect sense as to why now we do see that change being made. But I'm curious to see when they decide to pull the trigger on James O'Connor, when that switch is going to take place. How do we know you are not a simulation, says Marcus? You don't. So you have to take my word for it. It's up to you whether you decide to believe it or not. Now, second half just about to get underway here in this contest. So we are almost ready to go. Did he just say the box back line is small? We have 2 6'4", 100 kg players at 13 and 11. So here's LB. And lastly, game before our semi-finals. I just want to tell the boys that we are going to go big today and secure the semi. And all the way to the finals, go George, third team. Georgie's bow. So here's Hannes there. And kicked off by Argentina. We are back underway for the second half of this contest. 12 points difference. An early 3 for Argentina could change this game. Okay, you make 0 sense, Connor. Stop talking because New Zealand and Australia are big deal sides. So here's Brett. And now this one's going to go high. Contestable. Beautifully taken by Santiago Carreras as he's wrestled down by the recent replacement, Tate McDermott. Now moving forward. Almost a tackle off the ball from Harry Wilson. Gonzalo Garcia goes on the inside to Mateo Carreras, and their balls come free for the Australians. Christoph Ridley says it's off a boot, and now they've managed to steal it. Fraser McWright trying to find a crack in the opposition. Now rolling this one back, ready to go. We have got there, morning Hamish. Good news about the wind. Ali's kicking from the box, says Blicky's there. And Otago versus Taranaki, good game too, says Studs Rays. And Wallabies need to score first, or else they will be in trouble. Now going high. Nicely taken by Rodrigo Escrow. Beautiful low hands from Juan Matan Gonzalez. About 7 options now for Argentina in their back, like Carreras. Going on the outside this time to Mateo Carreras. Tackled by Suali'i, or at least it looked like he was going to be tackled. Oh. Did Suali'i just throw a punch on the ground there? If he did, I'm sure it was, well, it probably was on purpose. You gotta be careful doing that. And the emotion get the better of him at the moment. He did score the only try for the Australians, and that was early on in this one, like a bum crack. Yes, his pants did get pulled down, so I was making a pun. We have got there Aussies the opposite to us. Start, bad, finish. Oh, sorry, start, bad, finish, good. Says God's Own. Now up to the 22 again. Angus Bell penalised for offside advantage, and they'll go back for the penalty. This one's in the middle of the field. Easy 3 points if Argentina want it, but at what stage do the Pumas change that mentality? I would say they take the 3 here and then next time start going for the corner. Actually, an early tackle from Corey Toole on Juan Cruz Malia as well. 22-7 says DG, so he's made that decision of going for the 3 points. Angus Bell, he's annoyed that he got penalised for it. It was probably a little bit rough on him, but then at the same time, he was wrong place, wrong time, so also understandable. Argentina at their best in the comeback, says Robin. Yeah, the gap between these two sides is still not 22. As soon as it's any more than 22, perhaps that is when we start to see it get a little bit more tricky. But then saying that, they scored 36 unanswered points, or 38 unanswered points, so maybe 32, or 22, sorry, would not be enough. Take the 3, says Robert. And Hamish, this is going to shock you. They should kick 3. I agree. I think that the 3 points, get outside of that 2-try window and then start going for the corner and working your way towards a bonus point. And Pumas, that one team who know to take their pins. And vamos, Pumas. Hopefully we are not robbed again, says Gonzalo. And now Santiago Herreras gets the kick over, and that's going to make the score 22-7. Now in favour of the Pumas. I feel like there's a slight confidence from some of the Pumas supporters, but then there are also a few who are only lightly clapping. And I do think that's because of what we saw last week. You know, we're seeing some who are just kind of happy little clap, waiting to see that full-time whistle before cheering. But now, nicely taken by Argentina again. And, bro, will Australia come back? It's going to be tough, but it is nowhere near out of the equation. We have got their... the Pumas are accurate from the tee, says Eugene. Australia butcher a try, says DG, but Australia now have got themselves the possession around the halfway line, going short side to Tom Hooper. Good run over the top of Garcia. Penalties can compound pressure. Beautiful run from Angus Bell, and a step as well. Offloads it, it's too low, and Gore can't claim it. Although I don't know whether or not he would have won the foot race anyway. They were probably looking for a 12 or a winger in that scenario. Hamish, can we change our deal up a bit? Says Hano, what deal are we talking about, Hano? And so with Joe as coach, he's supporting Australia. Says Nick, I just want these two sides to do well. If Australia lose this game and it means that we get a rugby championship, there could be one win for every single side, then I am absolutely all for it. We have got the Australia blew it. Says Godzone as a Springbok. I'm excited by how far the Pumas have gone, or have come. Says Sifo there. And now ready to throw it in. Now thrown in, nicely taken. McDermott going across the Hunter by Sami, and that is a big collision with Crema. Morning, Amish. In South Africa, go the RG, says Red. A long time no see, says Fortnite NBA. Hope you're doing extremely well. Hope you're excited for the game just around the corner. Australia have got themselves the ball again. Big shove from Bell on Makovivas. So I believe, little knock on from the Australians, and Argentina survive again. Now he says Fortnite doing very well. Excited for the matchup later on tonight. In fact, there's multiple games later on. Do the Mohawk, mate. You're already halfway there, says Manus. And also go the Pumas, says Gonzalo. And go the Pumas, says Angie there. And just letting that one slip through. A frustrating one there for Angus Bell. And we have got there Vivas Las Vegas. Aussie not enough ball to do anything. I think it's also the case of when they've got the ball, though, they're just making little mistakes. You know, dropping the ball, for instance, there. Angus Bell breaking the line, doing all the hard work to then not be able to get a decent pass to Zane Ungor next to him. Good morning, Hamish. Hope you're well, mate. Says Rudy. Doing very well. Like I said, excited. 2 games back-to-back. Next, we have got between New Zealand and South Africa. One for the Men's Rugby Championship. One for the Women's Rugby World Cup quarter-final. And deja vu, Australia are very intense, says Katsanel. We have got a new member, Hayden Solomon. Thank you very much for hitting that button. You now have access to those emojis on the channel. I said I would donate $10 if New Zealand does the double over South Africa. Then you would do a 5 to 10 minute praising South Africa. Can we make it a 30-minute video just praising South Africa, says Hayno? Well, does that mean we can make it $30? We have got the Australia just not the same. Without Will Skelton, says Dune. And surely get James O'Connor on. I don't think he'll be a mile away. making his way onto the park. Now Gonzalo Garcia to the left-hand side. Or does work his way towards that collision with McDermott just to try and lure in the defence around the side of that scrum. Now Juan Cruz Malia, ball on the inside to Mateo Carrera, similar score to last week. Can't see Australia coming back this time. Yeah, I was just looking up to see exactly what that score was at this stage of the match. Last game, now kicked downfield. So at halftime it was 21-7 in favour of Argentina. Loose ball picked up by Callaway at the back. Offloads to Corey Toole. And now Australia looking for the counter-attack and run. Tackled by Mako Vivas. I can make it $15. I'll take it. And come on, Wallabies. And well done to the Pumas. And good morning from South Africa, mate. Says William, welcome in. We are only sitting 45 minutes away from the start of that next live stream, which we will be doing for New Zealand versus South Africa. Doing a nice big build-up for that match. 30 minutes of glaze sounds crazy. For 10 minutes anyway, says Gatsanel. Or for $10 anyway. Now Tate McDermott rolling this one back again. And kia ora from Adelaide. Those 1% leading the Wallabies down. Looking forward to watching Boomfar ball later. Says Gus. Taken under the high ball this time. Rodrigo Isdro around the halfway line for Los Pumas. Now Carreras, nice step, almost through, but Williams and McWright both managed to grab him. They've turned it into a rolling maul as well. Now in fact, Christoph Ridley says release. Garcia back across to the left-hand side. Juan Cruz Malia, Cinti with the inside ball. Off to Mateo Carreras, turning the defence inside out. Now Garcia, not sure who to go to there, so instead goes to Pedro Rubiolo. And that was the wrong choice as Argentina held up there. That ball not coming out, which means that Australia get themselves the scrum. Amy Duplessis is a weapon for the Black Ferns' respect, although I did hear she's out now for the rest of the competition, isn't she? Yanyo Dreamy, South Africa win by 10. Says Alfredo there. And also 2025 competition is wild. Absolutely. I feel like it's very hard to judge what is going to be the big turning point of this competition. Perhaps it could be if New Zealand get the win today up against the South Africans, and if Argentina do end up winning this contest, it means that the Kiwis would have that little bit more of an advantage. I believe at the moment they're about 70% likely to win this rugby championship. We keep it 5 to 10 minutes, we good? We keep it 5 to 10 minutes, it's good, says Hano there. And lost out the choke tackle. And hell no, Aussies need to try now. Well, we are currently sitting 50 minutes through. At 50 minutes in the last contest, it was 21-14. Australia were only down by 7. In this case, they are still down by 15. McDermott from inside of his own 22 kicks it out. And it's another line out. As in this year, the last rugby championship, says Albert, not quite. But there will not be a rugby championship next year. I believe 2027 we've got a shortened competition. But yeah, it's certainly some big changes in the near future. Also big changes here for Argentina, making about 3 or 4 switches in quick succession. There I see Juan Martin Gonzalez is off, so that does mean Pablo Matera, he has made his way on to see what he can do for the final 30 minutes of the game. I don't think Matera would have been expected to come onto the field with a lead of 15. Normally, he is the one who has to come on. In this scenario, at least they would have thought maybe if they were behind and had to try and work their way back into the game. Here comes a run from Mateo Carrera, spins out of the challenger Tom Hooper, but he's held up again by Tate McDermott. Australia doing extremely well. The ball is there still, though, actually, for Argentina. Was Matera on the bench? Well, he was, so a big impact player to have switching later on in a game. Now currently 40 metres out. Garcia. Going now. Juan Cruz Malia. That looked high. Okay, drop, says Christoph Ridley. I would not be surprised if they have another look at it. Another penalty going against Billy Pollard and the Australians. Argentina, it's a 3-pointer if they want it, but they're up by 15. This is where you kick for the corner, isn't it? You've already got those 2 converted tries ahead. This is where you have to consider 3 tries from here for Argentina, and they get themselves the bonus point in this game and move right up to potentially number 1 at the end of this round. Maybe number 2. Oh no, they're kicking for the points. This is one of those ones here. I just feel like Argentina aren't showing that they want this enough for this rugby championship. they're in control of this game. Maybe this is the case where they're just trying to use up a little bit more time off the clock. Take it out of the contest. But don't you at least try and go for that corner? Get a little bit more on the board and, get that points differential going. Yeah, they just kick threes all day long. Says Neil, Los Pumas are a different beast now. They're George Fording the game, says Ruckage. Los Pumas have developed so much in the last decade. Says, what? Or wait, what, in fact it is. Pumas need to slow the game down, says Suds Raise. Yeah, perhaps that is the factor. Like I said, maybe they slowed down late in the last contest and that's where they feel that they need to just keep on cruising by. But it is another 3 points, making the score now 25 points to 7. And 1 point win for South Africa, says Sorrell. And can Hunter Paisami realise he's not Sonny Bill Williams and stop passing it all the time in contact? Says Lux Footy. And this is that Northern Hemisphere mentality. And why though? Do you need to just kick for posts? They're not going to win the Rugby Championship this way, says Neil. And they're degassing Australia, perfect tactics. Says Jimbo, looks like Lukan Salakai Lotto. He will make his way onto the field now. We have PTSD, mate. Don't blame us for doing what we do best, playing soccer, says Katzenel. I remember when they beat New Zealand, they scored tries, says Neil. Now Joel Scalavi. He will make his way off. Argentina got this, says DG. And we have got there Contepomi as one of the greats. This is way too conservative. Go for the 4 tries now, Pumas. Says William. And the thing is, we've seen a lot of defensive errors from the Australians. And all that's happened here is Argentina are back under pressure just out from their own 22. Slow strangulation, says Shane. And well, hey Hamish, says Jeff J, welcome and hope you're doing extremely well. Being rolled back now by Garcia. And charged down by Lukan Salakai Lotto for that kick. Harry Wilson slaps it back, but luckily picked up for the Argentines there. Now Garcia looking to boot it in behind. Now, getting close to the sideline. Callaway just watches it into touch. South Africa gets diffuse, says Neil. I wouldn't guarantee that. This young backline could be extremely dangerous in the match around the corner. Argentina want to save the game. Be sure of the 4 points. Who knows what Australia can do in the last half hour, says Robin. Yeah, although that's where, at this stage anyway, you would think that unless they're looking to get another 3 and then another 3 in that case. But they need at least one more penalty or else they haven't actually gained anything from taking those extra 3s. Then they would have had not taken another penalty to Argentina. So this is where we're probably going to see another 3 attempted here. Prediction Hamish for Springboks All Blacks. I went 33-27. So a close game between the two sides. I can see it being relatively high scoring even with the win factor. Corner now, says Eric. Yeah, so now, what, are they going for the corner here? This would be an interesting choice if they kick for the corner. I think Matera's actually just gone over. He's not captain for this game, but he might have just gone over and said, come on, boys. Let's actually get going here a little bit. Because they have kicked for the corner. 10 metres out from the line now for Argentina. Bro, your score's still 7 points to 22. Says Ratu Drara. At the moment for me on screen, it's got 25-7. So you might be maybe delayed a little bit. Perhaps a couple minutes behind live. Can't see the Argies losing this one from here, says John. Now ready to line it up. Julian Montoya. And, it's dropped by both sides. I believe it's going to be called as, I don't know what that decision is. I think it was a double knock-on, first by Argentina, then by Australia, but instead it's just play on now for the Argentines. In fact, they've got themselves the advantage now due to the knock-on and line-out time from the Aussies. Oh no, advantage is now over. Commentator's curse, says Ali Wood. Hey, perfect timing, says Robert, in there too. Still 25 minutes left, and if they score now with a conversion, this game is pretty much done and dusted. Now off to the right-hand side, Santiago Shoka Perez. Tackled well. What a big difference a referee makes. Yeah, I know that Australia won't like this ref in this scenario because they have been penalised about 13 times to the 2 or 3 of Argentina. Drop ball from Marcos Crema. He had a bundle of steam. How is that not a knock-on? Okay, they've gone back now. Australia survive. South Africa must come up with new things. And Argentina are now tier 1 team, says Gary. And knock-on, says John there. And we have there Pumas. You lose, says Jeff. But yeah, just rocked by Marcos Krem. I tell you what, there was going to be a huge amount of contact because it was Luca Salakai-Lotto as well as Rob Valentini in front of him. Okay, Harry Wilson just apologising to the referee. Obviously, may have been a bit frustrated with that call. Rugby teams are figuring them out, says Neil. And the ref has been perfect, says Jimbo. Our Wallabies aren't getting stuff out of this game. And who is the ref? This ref is Christoph Ridley. So it's lose the first leg and win the second leg this season, says Sun. At the moment, it's looking that way, which would make New Zealand a little bit nervous heading into that Wellington Test match. It is kicking off in only an hour, 15 minutes time. We are going to be covering it on the channel as well as a big long build-up for that match as well. So anyone who is new, of course, be sure to leave a like and also subscribe to the channel. That's the ref on the field, not the crowd. Says Jeff J, how good is the Rugby Championship? It's setting up to be one of the best that we've had in a very long time. Paisami pops it back to James O'Connor, who has made his way onto the field for Tane Edme. Perhaps that veteran status of O'Connor could be the difference maker. Corey Toole, nowhere near enough ball for that man today. The amount of skill that he's got on that wing. What's your prediction, New Zealand versus Box? I'm going 33-27 in that game. Hopefully a high-scoring one. Our back line again. So Paul Williams is not playing for the Wallabies today. It was obvious Los Pumas were going to win, says Augustinus. He's actually on the sideline, though, so he is as a touch judge, so he could still hurt them if he really wanted to, but he hasn't. Now, 22 minutes remaining here. Take McDermott. Sitting 22 metres out from the line. Haven't heard Jorgensen's name other than his yellow. Yeah, he's hardly had the ball either. Australia just haven't been able to get that ball wider than their midfield a lot of the time. Even Joseph Suaalii, we saw him with so much ball throughout the first 15 minutes, and then from there, he's hardly touched it. Hunter Paisami, the main man with ball in hand, as well as the Aussie forward, skip pass out wide. McWright goes to Wilson. He's now putting a grubber in behind, down towards the Argentine 22. Now running this one back out. Juan Cruz Malea, but too high from Corey Toole. Again, McDermott makes the low tackle this time. Yeah, I've got the I vote for Argentina, says Cyril. Oh, ball stolen. Here's Corey Toole stepping inwards, but a great tackle made. And Mateo Carreras trying to slap it back. Argentina pick up the ball now. Mateo Carreras up to almost the halfway line. McWright gets through the middle of the breakdown. Manages to get the steal. This game is really breaking down now. Coming loose. Unpredictable. Rob Valentini with Mako Vivas trying to get that steal. South Africa, says Don, and game opening up. Tie bodies out there, says DG. Yeah, it's certainly gone a little bit more scrappy, I would say, but that was close to a turnover. Yes, it is, for Santiago Herreras in the breakdown. And again, Harry Wilson straight to the referee. I think there's got to be frustration for the Aussie skipper. That is about the 15th penalty against Australia here. And see how the ref helped Australia there get the steal. Ref is fair, says Albert, and loose is an understatement, says Jimbo. And also we have got the O'Connor so old, he was literally in the first Crusaders, says Pepe. This game is non-stop action crazy. It's always the case when these two sides play off, and it just seems to be the way that it's going every single time here. That, no matter what, it's just they don't like slowing down. It's just 100% effort from the start of the second half pretty much. Every time the whistle goes, Oz needs a chat. Says Studs Rays. Australia dropped to 7, says Kiwi Rob. Yeah, they will be outside of the top 6 in the Rugby World Cup draw at this stage. Of course, there are still plenty of games to come. The November internationals, the other matches of the Rugby Championship. And now Rodrigo Isgro is going to make his way onto the field again there. I didn't realise that he went off. Mako Vivas, though, his day is done. He's had a really solid game up front. Give us the atmosphere there, Hamish. How's the crowd reacting? The Argentine fans are starting to find their voice now, but Australia getting the line-out steal puts them back in a great position. Take McDermott running short side, back in his pace. Pops on the inside of Wilson, who can't quite hang on to it. And Argentina again have this ball around the halfway line. Santiago Herreras, held up by Zayn Ungor. Ball looks like it's going to be stuck in there. And now Argentina told to use it on the halfway line. Los Pumas are insanely good, Says, Gary, how many minutes have they been playing? They've been playing for 60 at the moment, so only one more quarter of this contest to go. This is where Australia were so dangerous in the last match up against the Argentines. In the last 10 minutes of last match, we saw Australia with 98% of the possession. Matera passes on the outside, close to the sideline here, tackled by Jorgensen and Paisami. A try from Isco should come, says Gonzalo. Be honest, do you think Australia Rugby Championship is over if the All Blacks win later on tonight? I would say not necessarily, but it's a lot closer to being over. Now, Fraser McWright getting on the ball. He wins the turnover this time. Australia now 15 metres from their own line. We'll have to kick this one downfield. That is a massive steal from McWright, who, even throughout all this time, still been trying extremely hard to get that steal. You think it's going to be another comeback? I don't think there's enough time left, to be honest. I think that Australia, they may get back within 7. That is a possibility, just from the way that they've been going. James O'Connor misses touch. I might have to take back what we just said. And now Juan Cruz Malia, after 40 metres out from the Wallabies line. Argentina, if they can control position throughout this last quarter, they've won this game. In fact, even if they don't, they should still win this game. Hopefully not jinxing them there. Because, last week will still be on their minds. And they had that game up against the English as well, where they just let it slip in the later stages of the contest. That was only in July. Has happened quite a few times for the Pumas, but today they're looking well-rounded. Oh, that's just a milked advantage there on Harry Wilson. He will be even more frustrated now. And Australia outplayed today, says DG. Absolutely. Top 5 today is Box, All Blacks, France, England, and Los Pumas. We all know it. So you're not going with Ireland in that top 5 of the world rankings? I'd still say Ireland's up there at the moment. Great commentary. You're the best. You need the top job on the box. Here's Patariki. Do appreciate it. And we are going to be back in only less than 30 minutes' time. Once this game ends, it will be about a 5-minute break. And then we will be back for New Zealand versus South Africa. Okay, perhaps extremely distantly. If no Welsh in me, says Neil. So please for the Pumas, they deserve... Oh, where'd that go? They deserve top 4 tag with South Africa, New Zealand and France, England, Ireland, Australia in the next best group. And never a pen, says Jimbo. Yeah, Harry Wilson. This is a frustrating day for him. They were showing at the start how he was looking to become the second captain behind Michael Hooper to win 4 games in a row as captain. But it just doesn't seem likely at this point in time. Argentina again, they will be looking for the 3 points. Santiago Carreras, every time that it goes to a kick, that takes 60 seconds out of the game, which is perfect for this Argentinian team. And Carreras, he's been kicking extremely well. I don't think he's missed one today as of yet. That's normally when the commentator's curse kicks in. What is the crowd reacting like? How's the atmosphere? It's pretty loud at the moment from both sides. And Carreras again. Safe as houses. Over it goes. And that is going to make the score now 28-7. So they have got the equivalent of 4 converted tries worth of points, but they are not in a position where they have a bonus point from this game. Kicked off short by the Australians. Nicely taken near the sideline. Jorgensen making the tackle alongside Wilson. Australia's getting too tight for a comeback. Says Albert there. Surely not another 3. They did take another 3. And this is slowly increasing that points differential. At the moment, it does sit with 21. Now, with that being said, I believe if we look at the live standings, or at least what the standings were at the start of this round, Australia's points differential now would be -9. Argentina's points differential would now be +6, which would actually put Argentina above Australia in the Rugby Championship standings if this is the way that the scoreline ended. But Aussie big Fem from Callaway, who breaks through, but just no one with him in that breakaway run. Now pick and go from Carlo to Zano. That almost seemed like more of a stalling tactic to try and get some forwards back where they wanted them. Josh Nassar now. And Hammy looks like an 80s porn star. Aviti goes to 8th place in the rankings. There's Biggie Boom now. Big run from Dongunu. Back out there on the field for the Wallabies. McDermott. Pop pass up to Jeremy Williams. The Aussies ain't bad. Oh, that's a big advantage. Going the way of the Wallabies, and that's probably going to be a yellow card if the first half's consistency is there. Santiago Carreras, he is going to be sent off the field. And now it's 15-on-14. Are the tides starting to turn? Is 15 minutes long enough for Australia to try and mount something here? And Pumas came for the points today, says Petrus. And damn Argentina, they came back with a vengeance since last week. And O'Connor should have started this test. I agree. I think that he would have been the better option. Big fend from Callaway, though, when he broke through in that gap. Like I said, just no one quite there to be able to link up with him. As much as I wanted him to be carded. Where'd that go? That's bad for my fantasy team, says Pat Starr. South Africa loses tonight. The New Zealand have got this. And who told the Argies to go for pens only? And are they going to be a player down in Australia? Can score very quickly. Same like last week, says Don. Yeah, they've left it a little bit late, the Australians here, but still 14 minutes left on the clock, and 9 minutes of that time will be played with the extra man on the park. Tate McDermott goes across now to Carlo Tazzano. Tackled slightly high from Joaquin Oviedo. Ball ripped away by Argentina, but still on the side of the Australians, who have got themselves another penalty advantage here. Aussie with a little sniff. McDermott, huge collision on him. Valentini pick and go. Crema makes another tackle alongside the captain Montoya. Advantage is now over for the initial knock on. James O'Connor, flat ball, beautiful pass from Suali'i. And Andrew Callaway scores for the Australians. Running it back as well. They are still in this game. The ref is enjoying Australia hospitality so much. He's now doing them favours, says Gatsanel. I mean, he certainly didn't do them any favours when he penalised them 15 times in the early stages of this game. That kick has gone over, making the score now 28 points to 14. 2 converted tries for Australia. They get a draw here. And damn, the 12th million fan to enter the cake tin, says the AI underdog. We've got that try. Callaway says, DG, hang on. Hang on, we hear him whistle blowing. Ref choking? In what way? Useless ref? What was the problem with that one? Like the same yellow card that Australia got in the first half that people were cheering for, they are now disagreeing when Argentina get it. I'm confused. It's on, says Neil there. But now, moving up to the halfway line here. Okay, they were checking something, but it has all been cleared. It's a draw, a win for the Pumas, and Argentina done enough to win this one. I think that they've done enough early on in this game, but getting that yellow's now put them in a really tough predicament because Australia seem like they've found their second wind. Carter's deserve. Says Augustinus, here's some more space. Inside ball, Max Jorgensen, pass to Suali'i. Australia are through again, but Suali'i slipping over and may have saved that counter-attacking chance. I told you Australia score quick tries. Now James O'Connor, one look or one hand pass on the outside. Filippo Dalgunu scores it again. Australia have scored twice in 2 minutes. And now the comeback is fully on here for the Australians. Still 8 minutes remaining of the yellow card. The crowd is going absolutely wild here. But just a counter-attack from Australia straight off the kickoff. Just took the 2 minutes there. And Jorgensen and Suali'i linking up. It is absolutely on. Says Studstrays there, Aussie always look good against 14. Well, it was Argentina's own fault for getting it to be 14. Here they come, says Neil. And we have got the unbelievable, well done Aussies, says Rupert. The thing is, the 21 points behind with 14 minutes remaining looked big. O'Connor almost ran out of time. He's missed the kick. So the draw is now, I believe, off the table. But now the win's still on the cards. We have got that shut up from Ian. Was that to me or someone in the chat, Ian? Because I could try not talking, but you'd have no idea what's happening in the game. I was just considering changing to the Warriors, but no need now. And O'Connor, yes, there's Gus. And we have got there, well, that conversion of the art, or what is that word? Conservatism, sorry. I thought it was trying to use like a pun of conversions as well, but no, it's just an actual word of the Argies are coming back to bite them. But now kicked off again by Argentina. Argentina must not panic. Carlo Tazzano running it back up to the 22. They will do the exact same move, I believe, that we saw just before. Yeah, I'm back on the game too, and please, Argentina, come on. And what an ending, says Ruth. Oh no, this time it looks like McDermott's going to kick this one downfield. Remembering last game, we saw 98% of that. No, he doesn't. Instead, they're going to look for the back line. Suali'i doing a play that he learnt from league. terms of the cellular dummy and take the collision instead. McDermott short side off to Harry Wilson. The Australians, they have a fire lit underneath them here. O'Connor, short side, skip pass out to Lucan. Salakai Lotto, slowly making meters here for the Wallabies. Pick and go from Josh Nassar, couple extra meters. Now Harry Wilson off to Angus Bell, taking the collision again. Banger of a game best championship in ages. Says Ruts there, and keep the head Argentina. Says Daniel, and Aussies suddenly got a hell of a boost. Now Jorgensen pushing up. Oh, high ball, beautifully won though by Juan Cruz Malia. That is a crucial take from the Argentinian fullback. Bit of a counter ruck there from the Australians, asking the question of whether or not they're allowed to go for it. Referee says no. It's now the replacement halfback in the scenario, Moyano. And they wonder whether or not maybe they took Garcia off too early. They certainly didn't expect this to be happening throughout the final 10 minutes of the game. And see, Hamish, that's what happens when you score tries. Do you know what the crazy thing is? That might be a penalty to Argentina. That's not the crazy thing. Mateo Carrera is possibly blocked. Crazy thing is, if Australia, oh no, there's the penalty to Argentina for the collision off the chase. But if Australia score another try, they end up in a position of getting a bonus point for 3 or more tries than their opposition. That is pretty insane. Shut up, white dude. Not as insane as that comment from Mushtaq in there as well. Fun fact, you can turn my volume down and then you won't be able to hear me. It's a good option, isn't it? Then you just have to look at my white face, which I'm sure you're disgusted by the sounds of it. Never keep your eye off the opponent, like South Africa mostly do, says Netta. And we have to not want to blow. And then the linesman said it's a penalty, so predictable. Do you know what the crazy thing is? That linesman is Paul Williams. So the guy who everyone said hated Argentina last week actually just made a decision for them. You're so nice but brutal, love it. And I'll get a news says Wild Lobster. Yeah, some crazies in the chat, says LB. And we have got there, why the hell are they going for the sideline? I think they've realised that they need to try to win this game. Because if they go for the 3 here, Australia could still get 2 converted tries and win. But if they score now, Argentina, the game is done. Or at least it should be. There's no guarantees, though. You can't beat Argentina for dramatic fall, says Albert. And also we have got there, it's almost as if the refs don't care who wins, says Studs Race. It's crazy that, isn't it? Now we have got there, here's the game now. Need to score, says Eric. Great kick. Yep, right into the corner. 5 meters out. Julio Montoya to Toja. I wouldn't be surprised if he plays the whole game here. They don't get the try, says Kiwi Rob. Please do try and avoid those spoilers if you can, Rob. Greatly appreciated. But now looking for the rolling maul. Getting close to the try line. They're just 1 meter short. And Australia tie it up to survive in this game. Just 1 short of the line. We have got their bad people, says Don there. And also we have got their position and momentum is the key for Australian defence, and discipline is key for Argentina. And why did the ref not give time to let the ball go? Says Eric. I think in that scenario it was because it was a maul initially. Oh, handshake there from Montoya and Christoph Ridley, whose scrum is stronger. I think it's been pretty even overall. I don't think either side's had a huge amount of dominance at scrum time. In fact, we've hardly had any scrums that I can think of in this scenario. If Australia come through the side, that is shocking, says Neil. Will Aussies win the scrum penalty, or are they too weak? I'm not sure if they'll win the penalty here. I think it's more so, yes, they'll push for it, but worst comes to worst, they just have to kind of clear their lines. Looks like maybe an injury here for Angus Bell. His fingers getting taped up as one of them wasn't quite pointing the way that it was supposed to. And 9 points in 9 minutes, personally a draw. Suits the box very well here, says LB. And it looks like actually Montoya is making his way from the field. We have got there Montoya, great game, says DG. No Curry Cup semi-finals tonight is the quarterfinals. We are doing the Curry Cup games as well. We just haven't got them scheduled yet. Don't worry, Hamish, listening to this is outstanding, sir. It was the clown who made the white boy comment. What a clown. Yeah, I don't even know where he's gone at this stage. He probably got himself timed out or possibly didn't get the reaction he wanted. Don't worry, Hamish, listen to you. And how much time is left? At the moment, there is still 9 minutes remaining. So not a lot of time at all. 4 minutes remaining of the Argentinian yellow card. So they will be back to 15 with about 5 on the clock. Tate McDermott just about to put this ball in. If you're Argentina, the last thing you want to do is concede a penalty, and they've done very well with that scrum. Big attack and run from, looked like Carlo Tizzano. So I believe they actually had a forward packing down in that scrum to try and even it out a little bit. We have there watching South Africa warming up. I look scared of New Zealand legends. And does Australia have time? They do still have enough time to be able to win this game, yes. Which seems like a crazy statement to make, seeing as not too long ago, it seemed like they were completely out. I can't cash out anymore. Argentina must win, says Jaden, but now Zane Ungor. Still 20 metres out for the line. Again, McDermott's going to be rolling this one back. So Australia haven't completely gone all-out attack after their 2 quick-fire tries. Now, worst comes to worst in this scenario, they will want that losing bonus point. So if they were able to score themselves another try, they'd actually be in a position of getting 2 of them for this game. Scoreboard stuck on my favourite number. Says Bruce, one moment, we'll give the mouse a wiggle, see whether or not it sorts it out. No. Maybe. Oh, there we go. Okay, it's jumped way up to 74 now. We have got the Argentina will win this game. The Springboks will beat the All Blacks. And then that would mean that we're a 1-1-1-1. Or in fact, it would be actually 2-2-2-2 for this round up till this date. Oh, drop ball from Matera. It's knocked on. Argentina have the rolling ball chance, but they are just letting handling errors and little mistakes now creep into their game much more. We have got their best way to watch the match. It's to be at the stadium. Second best is listening to Amish's commentary of Los Pumas. Says Julian, it is greatly appreciated. You tuning in, and of course, in only 13 minutes' time, we're going to be starting our next live stream. That is New Zealand versus South Africa for the Rugby Championship. Got a nice big build-up planned for that one. Looking through it, a lot of stats for those two sides. But currently, 7 minutes remaining in what is once again going to be an extremely tight finish between these two teams. We saw it last week. We're going to see it again here for this game as well. Whose ball? It will be Australia's scrum 30 metres out from their own line. And Argentina score 1 try. Yep, they only have the 1 try at this point and 7 penalties. McDermott takes the quick tap off the penalty of the scrum. Now Suaalii, little bit of a stutter step, couldn't get the pass away again. Now 2 in a row that he has hesitated for that pass, but he seems to be at his most dangerous when he's just letting it flow. Australia score a try. Could be deja vu all over again. And like I said, they have the potential, if Australia score now, to get a bonus point for losing and a bonus point for being 3 tries more than your opposition. I would have to say this would be one of the first times we've seen that happen in a game of rugby. I can't think of another time where one side's won, but the other team had the bonus point for the try-scoring side of things. Now Carlo Tizzano. McDermott back across to the left-hand side again. Harry Wilson, he's been working throughout the full 75 minutes. McDermott goes to O'Connor. Now Valentini have 3 men on his outside, but cuts back inwards. And now McDermott going for the kick. Looking for the 50-22. Jorgensen, in fact, chasing after this one. Great bounce of the ball. If you're the Argentines, though, getting the pass away to Mateo Carreras. Hesitation from him, and he's tackled just out from the line. That was close to the steal for Fraser McWright. But the bounce of the ball, very fortunate for this Argentine team. As if that had gone any other direction, Jorgensen probably would have been favourite to be able to take it. Now looking for the steal on the breakdown. Told to get out of it. 5 minutes now remaining and only 20 seconds left of the yellow card. Kicked high from the youngster Augustin Moyano. Doesn't find touch. Nicely taken by James O'Connor. Wrestled infield by Mateo Carreras and Sinti. Ball's gone back to the halfway line now. Callaway off to Filippo Dungdunu. All by himself out wide. Just couldn't quite get his offload. Now Williams plays half. Goes to Harry Wilson. Argentina doing well with their scrambling defence at this point in time. Lucan Salakai Lotto. 3-man tackle on him as the Argentines are told to release. McDermott, cross to Callaway. Now Bell pops it in behind it. James O'Connor looks for the pop pass up to Callaway now. McWright, that looked close to forward, but it's going to be play on. Jorgensen, no, they'll go back for it. Would have been the try for Australia, but the forward pass call from Paul Williams. Enemy number 1, as Argentina know him. But they'll go back. And now it will be the scrum for Argentina. I don't think any of the players have actually heard it as of yet, They are now just realising that there was the knock-on. And how many phases Sears Albert? There was about, I'd say, probably 10 or so because of that kick in between. And not forward, Sears BG. Going to see the replay now for Fraser McWright. How far forward did this one drift? Just a little bit. Okay, Michael Hooper said that's holding down the line there, guys. But with where he started the pass, it probably was about, I'd say, 30 centimetres forward. Not by much, though. Let's scrum for Argentina. Oh, sorry, for Australia. Says Naja in there. Okay, all the commentators are saying it's okay, but I would say that's a forward pass. And I know that they've got, of course, a horse in this race, but from where he did try and pass it, it's because of how he passed it as well. Nice to see the ref doing his job. Yeah, Paul Williams, the one who did actually say about it, and is the reason Christoph Ridley went back for it. Remember that name? He's the one that everyone bashed online for last week's game. And thanks for covering this again, says Vincent. 4 minutes left, says Omar. And if the All Blacks win tonight with a bonus point and win against Australia, wait. Oh, I was confused there. Montoya looked confused as well on the sideline. It sounded like they were trying to reverse that. Slightly forward, says Philly. Yeah, it's definitely not the most forward pass we've seen of the day. And a few that have been even more forward than that haven't been called. But, you know, in that scenario, it did look slightly forward. I also rely on you, mate, covering games, gentlemen. Says Vincent there. Yeah, we are going to have that next game, New Zealand versus South Africa, in the very near future. We'll have about a 5-minute break between live streams, and then we do jump straight back into the action for that next game. It's going to be an epic one at at Sky Stadium in Wellington. We have got there, Hamish, real one, brother, it was forward. Says Pepe there, I thought it was a flat pass, says Christopher. Yeah, see, I would say if McWright hadn't passed it over his head the way that he did, I would say that it probably would have been all right. But because of the fact that he passed it over the head rather than with the hands going backwards, that's where it's tricky. 4 passes, says John Wilson. But now Argentina looking to just shut up shop here on the halfway line. 3 minutes remaining, back to 15. We have got the Australian commentary just said that the refereeing is poor. Listen to Australian commentating is worse, says JP. Now back across to the right. Now, that ball penalty won by Australia again. They just keep on going at the moment here, the Aussies. They don't want to give up. McDermott takes another quick tap trying to catch Argentina out. Here's Suaalii. Another step. Oh, we asked for the penalty straight away. Looking at Christoph Ridley, who says it's on the shoulder, and Zayn Ungor knocking the ball on. They may check it on the TMO. Oh, Suaalii getting up in the face of Kremer, going nose to nose with the big Argentine. Oh, hang on, they're checking it. So initially, Christoph Ridley said it was shoulder on shoulder, and the penalty awarded to Australia. The TMO has checked it. Oh, tell you what, she's not the highest shot we've seen, but oh, no, there's a bit of intent there from Kremer when they show the other angle. We have got there looking forward to another week of ref bashing. Says Studs race. But now Australia, decision to make. 2 minutes remaining. They will kick this one for the corner. I will mention if they had taken taken the 3 there, you know, we could have ended up seeing the potential chance of being within the 7, but of course this one would guarantee it and also get the bonus point. So it's more so the case of getting 2 bonus points rather than the 1 if they are able to score here. No inconsistency. What about saying it on Argentina player? There was no penalty. Here's Eric there, but now thrown in, nicely taken by the Australians. McDermott goes back across to Carlo Tazzano, who does roll forward, gets back up and goes again. 90 seconds remaining on the clock. McDermott goes to Zayn Ungor. This is where Australia were able to really make their impact in the last contest when it's right at the end. McDermott, cross again. Zayn Ungor goes to James O'Connor. Offloaded again. Suaalii Callaway. It's gone forward, surely. It's going to be the tripod Dungunu, but they have to check that last pass. It's been awarded That was more forward than McWright's round the halfway line. This surely has to be checked here for Andrew Callaway. If not, hang on. They're going to check it. They have to. At the end of the day, it was forward by more, I believe, than the last one. Must be a forward pass. Has to be. Okay, so James O'Connor's saying, I want you to quickly... It's forward out of the hands. That is even from the Australian commentary team that they have said that. So Ridley is blocking James O'Connor, but the time has been turned off. TMO is rigged if they don't check. No, they have checked that one. No way has that been cleared. No way have they looked at that, said it's gone backwards, and now Australia have converted and moved to 26-28. How do you clear that with one look at it? The last one was less forward, and they went back about a whole half. Okay, Morgan Turanui on the commentary for the Australians said must have had a different angle. How? I can't believe that. Definitely if the end result is different. We've got to remember, Australia get 2 bonus points now from this contest here. And they might get 5. Sport is becoming sport, says Andre. WTF, can you believe this, Hamish? I can't believe it. It's crazy. But now, kicked off long, Australia, they still have a chance of winning this thing. McDermott, back across to the left-hand side. Wilson, this can't end the way that we all think it's going to. Can it? Callaway. We're looking if he does pass to go backwards this time. I know low for Argentina-Australia relations. Where is this ref from again? He's from England this time. Now Jorgensen trying to break the line. There's still 75 metres to go for the Australians to get themselves a try. James O'Connor with the fin. Puts it on the outside to McWright. 30 metres from the line. Zane Ngor. James O'Connor off to Jeremy Williams. He's had a big game. I want to predict the referees. I really do, but I can't. I want to see that pass. I need to see that pass. If it's four-wheel rugby, will be embroiled in a major scandal, says Connor. They definitely will be if Australia win. The thing is, though, Australia still get 2 bonus points that they may not have gotten any for this game in. Now still quite far out from the line. McDermott back across to Valentini. Can the Pumas hold on? Scoreline very similar to what we've seen last week. TMO not ref, says Thuds raising there in Argentina win, says DG. Now McDermott, back across, James O'Connor goes to Jeremy Williams. Was that not a full pass on the try? I have absolutely no idea. The fact that it only got looked at once, though, is the biggest concern. Missed pass from Australia. They're 5 metres out from their line. Jorgensen, under pressure, picked up by Argentina, and they win the penalty, Los Pumas. And that is exactly what they needed. And in this scenario, you take the tap, you kick that ball out, and you say, that's not happening today. But now, what are they going to do here? Surely they don't go for a quick tap to try and take away Australia's bonus point, do they? You just boot this ball out. You say, thanks very much for coming. They would be 5 metres out from the Aussie line. They've kicked this ball out and Argentina win 1-1 the series in Australia. And now just around the corner, we've got New Zealand versus South Africa, which is going to potentially lead to every side having 2 wins and 2 losses at the end of this round. Hamish looks like he is seething with rage. How this game has ended? Well, I just think that it was a terrible call. Like, we've seen forward passes that drift forward by this much and they are led away, you know. Definitely with the fact that the one beforehand was called. And that one wasn't. But nonetheless, Argentina get themselves the win, and guess what? We've got another game just around the corner. It is going to be taking place. We are starting in 1 minute's time, so we'll be quickly transferring over to that next live stream, and I will see you guys very soon. But I do thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you all for the next one. We'll be talking about it in the intro of that next one too, about this game and what it means for the overall standings in that regard. But, yep, see you all very soon.